Chapter 66. I didn't expect that in just one day, both Holy Spirit Killing Blade Art and Fleeting Light Step have been great accomplished. Luo Mu rode on the spirit horse with a smile on his face. To be honest, this was really beyond his expectations. I thought it would take a long time, maybe 10 days, half a month, or even more. Who would have thought it would be so fast? In this way, before the Mountain and Sea Secret Realm opens, it will not be a big problem to practice the 4 Earth rank high-grade martial arts to perfection. You can even practice the Destruction Divine Fist. At that time, you can also improve your cultivation to the Profound Core Realm 9th layer. Luo Mu's smile slowly disappeared, because during this period of time, he found that the improvement of blade intent has been a little slow, but it is actually normal. The previous improvement was so fast. Firstly, it was only the level of martial Dao. There are traces of the Sword King to observe, and then I have watched thousands of battles, plus Li Jinni's predecessor's swordsmanship. All kinds of opportunities come together to improve quickly, but now I can only rely on myself to practice. How can it not be slow? How can I improve it quickly? Only 10% of blade intent seems a bit low. While thinking, unknowingly, I have arrived at the Shenwei army's base. Captain, we're here, Xianxia reminded. Luo Mu raised his eyes slightly. He saw a huge city in front of him. The city wall was towering, nearly 100 meters high. Countless sword marks were deeply engraved on it, as if telling everyone that this place had experienced countless wars. Shenwei City. Like a magic needle, it was located at the most important position on the southern border. If this place was breached by the hundreds of tribes in the southern border, then the 7 counties of Chang'e would be completely open and could no longer form an effective defense. Although it was already night, there were not many people resting in the city. They were either improving their cultivation or practicing martial arts. So the return of Zhuoying quickly attracted the attention of many people. Isn't this Zhuoying? Why did you return so late at night? Who is the young man in the lead? I'm so strange. I've never seen him before. The one walking in front is naturally the new lieutenant, who seems to be the first in this year's academy. Another academy disciple? This bunch of embroidered pillows are completely good-looking. Why did Lord Shuiyong let them in again? And it is such an important position as the left camp lieutenant, who knows? But what surprised me is that Xianxia actually followed behind. Logically, she should have fought with the new lieutenant now. 753-inch, everyone was talking. Soon, after the guard's report, Luo Mu entered the mansion of the Bloody Marquis, and Xianxia stood outside the mansion waiting, standing straight, looking forward. This made the onlookers not far away even more surprised. He was full of doubts. Mansion. In the huge study, Cheng Tiansong, the Bloody Marquis, was dressed in casual clothes and was practicing calligraphy. When he saw Luo Mu coming in, a smile suddenly appeared on his face. Come and see how the Marquis Kuan learns. Luo Mu raised his eyebrows slightly. He didn't think much about it and walked out to take a look. Good stuff. Although it's not crooked, it's really not pretty. Nice font. Luo Mu could only comment like this. Ha ha ha, you were quite smooth. Last time I went to the imperial capital to report on my work, those people actually said that my handwriting was ugly and unbearable to look at. Cheng Tiansong shook his head. He looked like a rough man. To be honest, it's not bad to be able to write like this. I heard that you helped the 7th Battalion on the way. Cheng Tiansong poured Luo Mu a cup of tea. This shocked the guards who were serving beside him. In his memory, Lord Shuiyong had never poured tea for anyone. How could this young lieutenant, Ade? Well, I saw the smoke of heavenly fire and went over. Luo Mu took it and drank a sip. It tasted good. And there are some special effects. Relax the muscles and activate the joints. Clear the mind and eyes. This is a common thing in the frontier. The border is too long and stretched. You sneak attack me and I attack you. The 7th Battalion is lucky to meet you. It's not so easy for other battalions. Cheng Tiansong said calmly. You will be awarded the 3rd class military merit. 3rd class. Luo Mu didn't think it was low, but he didn't expect that there was also military merit. Then what standard should be reached for the 1st class military merit? There are 2 main purposes for this trip. One is to practice the Holy Spirit Killing Blade Art. The other is to see if I can get a 1st class military merit. After all, the 9th Prince said that as long as there is a 1st class military merit, he can be conferred Marquis. The benefits of conferred Marquis are self-evident. 1st class military merit can be big or small, but no matter how small it is, it must have outstanding performance in a major event, such as a large tribe. Cheng Tiansong said. How strong is the large tribe? Luo Mu asked. There are strong people in the earth-breaking realm, Cheng Tiansong replied. Luo Mu was speechless. This is a transcendent realm that has given birth to the so-called physical body phenomenon, which is far beyond any previous realm. Even if he realized the blade intent, he doesn't think he can compete with the earth-breaking realm, at least not with the current foundation. Not all people in the earth rank realm are that strong. There are different levels. Cheng Tiansong said, if your blade intent is higher, and you have the perfect earth rank martial arts, you may be able to split the strange phenomena in the profound core realm and reverse the ordinary earth rank. Blade intent? Luo Mu shook his head. Even if he practiced diligently, it would be difficult to quickly improve to the blade intent level without special methods. Speaking of which, I don't know much about the earth rank at present, Luo Mu said. For example, the palace master asked him to go to the mountain and sea secret realm. He only knew that the spiritual objects there were very important and were the key to stepping into the earth rank. But where is the key? Iri Tu Shui, you have reached the profound core realm, so you should know it. Cheng Tiansong nodded. The cultivation in the earth-breaking realm is called the 9 transformations of the flesh. When the martial artist cultivates to the perfection of the profound core realm, the flesh will automatically have a tendency to transform. But if you want to successfully transform, you need the help of spiritual objects, which have the power to break the limit. The higher the level of the spiritual object, the better the limit-breaking effect, and the higher the improvement after the transformation. There are ordinary transformation, excellent transformation, and perfect transformation. The higher the degree of transformation, the greater the basic improvement of the flesh in all aspects. For example, aptitude, comprehension, root bone, lifespan, etc. In short, it is all round. Hearing this, Luo Mu's pupil shrank slightly. He didn't expect that the cultivation in the earth-breaking realm was actually the transformation of the flesh. It is equivalent to the transformation of a cocoon into a butterfly. The level of the flesh has been leapt. Mortal bones become immortal fetuses. Of course, this statement is a little exaggerated, but it is indeed the meaning. People's talents are destined to be innate, but the earth-opening realm gives a chance to reshape. Whether you can grasp it well depends on yourself, Cheng Tiansong said with a smile. Luo Mu clenched his hands slightly. He can have the current strength thanks to his unremitting efforts, plus the system's reward for hard work. But in fact, his own talents are still relatively average. So he has been looking for ways to improve his qualifications. Only by successfully improving them can he gain more basic knowledge in future practice. But he has never found a way. He didn't expect that the practice of the earth-opening realm could do it. What level of spiritual objects do you need for perfect transformation? Luo Mu asked. Since you want to transform, you must transform to the best. The body can transform 9 times. If every transformation is perfect, he dare not imagine how exaggerated his final qualifications will be. Maybe it will even surpass the definition of human. Born. God? Rank 3 spiritual objects. The top spiritual objects. Otherwise perfect transformation cannot be achieved. Cheng Tiansong said. There was a rare regret in his voice. I wanted to try the perfect transformation, but it was too difficult. I exhausted all my resources and barely managed to gather 4 top-level spiritual objects, but in the end, they all failed without suspense. In the end, I could only choose rank 2 spiritual objects and downgrade to the best transformation. The physical foundation has been improved 3 times. If it is a perfect transformation, how much can it be improved? Luo Mu was curious. I don't know, because too few people can do it. Nowadays, spiritual objects are still so scarce, especially top-level spiritual objects, but according to historical records, it is at least 10 times. Cheng Tiansong smiled. Luo Mu took a breath. Somewhat shocked. Is the difference between transformations so big? 3 times and king. If every time is a perfect transformation, Luo Mu's breathing became hot. It doesn't matter if the failure rate is high, he has a critical hit harvest. If he is lucky, 1 plant is worth 100 plants, or even hundreds of plants. As long as it succeeds once during the period, it will succeed in reality. In addition, after the first transformation is successful, the physical body will be sublimated, and new talent will be generated, and this talent can be materialized. Forming a vision, manifesting the world. Cheng Tiansong raised his right hand. Buzz. A huge grotto heaven suddenly appeared behind him, mysterious and profound, vast and far-reaching. Where the light shines, there is an unspeakable power surging. This is my physical vision. God shines on the sky. When I am in the vision, My true essence recovery speed will increase 5 times. Cheng Tiansong said. Increase 5 times? Luo Mu was a little shocked. This is almost a perpetual motion machine. It is difficult to use up the true essence. I didn't expect the physical vision to be such a thing. The physical vision varies from person to person. Everyone is different. In addition, the degree of transformation is different, and the level of the vision born at the end is also different. I was only a superior transformation at the beginning, so this God shines on the sky is only a middle-level vision, not an apex level. Cheng Tiansong put down his right hand, and the vision disappeared. Most of the visions are auxiliary effects, so you can't care too much about them. Unless it is an extremely rare apex-level attack vision, it is far inferior to the true meaning. Luo Mu nodded. Indeed, the true meaning can increase the power of the corresponding martial arts, and it is at least more than 10 times, and it also has terrifying effects such as pressure. It is not comparable to ordinary visions, so the improvement of the true meaning is still the top priority. It seems that this mountain and sea secret realm is indeed not to be missed. After listening to Cheng Tiansong's words, Luo Mu's heart was already extremely hot. 9 changes in the physical body. It is not only the qualifications that are improved, but also the physical abilities in all aspects. In the words of the previous life, it is the innate basic attributes. What is the difference between gods and humans? It is that the attributes of gods are born with 10,000, while humans may only have 1. I have to continue to work hard to practice. Luo Mu clenched his hands slightly. Only in this way can he grab the top-level spiritual objects in the mountain and sea secret realm. Take these 2. Cheng Tiansong suddenly took out 2 jade boxes and placed them in front of Luo Mu. What is this? Luo Mu came back to his senses, with a look of surprise on his face. In the first jade box, there are cultivation resources of profound core realm, which are extremely rare and superior. This marquis was not lucky enough to enjoy them in the past. It was prepared for you by His Royal Highness the 9th Prince. It was placed here with me in advance, Cheng Tiansong said. Thank His Royal Highness for me when you have a chance. Luo Mu would naturally not refuse. Although he had some resources on him, they were certainly not comparable to what was in here. As for this second one, the palace master entrusted me to give it to you. Cheng Tiansong smiled and opened the jade box at the same time. There were 2 crystal stones of different colors lying inside. Luo Mu's breathing became a little heavy the moment his eyes touched, because in these 2 crystal stones, he actually felt the existence of true meaning. Luo Mu raised his head slightly and looked at Cheng Tiansong. Artistic concept stone. This is something that can only appear after the death of a martial artist with perfect true intention. This thing is difficult to preserve and will completely disappear in a few years. It is also the only 2 pieces left in the academy. One contains blade intent, and the other contains fist intent. Cheng Tiansong handed it to Luo Mu. I didn't expect there is such a thing. Luo Mu's eyes were burning. Just now, I was still thinking about how to improve the true intention of martial Dao. Who would have thought that the next second, Cheng Tiansong took out the artistic conception stone. It seems that the academy has indeed made sufficient preparations for his growth. Your comprehension is extremely evil. Just by observing the martial Dao of Li Jianyi's predecessors, you can understand blade intent. I believe these 2 artistic conception stones will be helpful to you. Cheng Tiansong said. Luo Mu took a deep breath and suppressed his excitement. There is the intention stone. The blade intent, which has been stagnant for a long time, can finally start to improve. In addition, the palace master sent a message that there are changes in the mountain and sea secret realm, which has been postponed for a month. You can practice here with peace of mind. Cheng Tiansong said. The secret realm has changed? Luo Mu was stunned. What kind of changes can happen to the secret realm controlled by the dynasty? But he didn't think much about it. If it is postponed, it will be postponed. It just happens that he has more time to improve himself. Cultivation, 5 Earth rank high-grade martial arts, and the intention stone. Thinking about it, it's quite busy. But the motivation is naturally full. Go practice, there is no need to rush for military merits. This experience will guarantee that you can get it, but you have to have the ability to get it. Cheng Tiansong saw that Luo Mu no longer had the idea of staying here. He was full of practice. So he smiled and said, Yeah. Luo Mu took the 2 jade boxes and turned away. This made Cheng Tiansong laugh. There are really no rules in the military camp, but he can understand it. He is a martial arts fanatic. Just like when he was young, he was lucky to meet a good boss. Of course, he is also a good boss. Turning around, Chang Tiansong looked at the map behind him. His eyes fell on the direction of the imperial capital. Maybe before the opening of Mountain and Sea Secret Realm, there will be a storm between the 7 major palaces, Chang Tiansong said faintly. Mountain and Sea Secret Realm has experienced an unprecedented major change, and the interests are so great that some old people can't sit still. Want to overturn the table. Reserve the dishes. Chapter 67. Captain. Seeing Luo Mu coming out, Yao Hongxiu immediately came forward with a respectful look. Go back, Luo Mu said. Yes. Yao Hongxiu immediately led the way. This scene made the people who were watching not far away look at each other in surprise. There were many captains among them. It seems that Yao Hongxiu has been conquered. This face is full of respect, and she completely regards herself as a deputy captain. Interesting. It seems that this academy disciple is not comparable to the previous ones, and has some strength. Everyone discussed. Yao Hongxiu's strength is beyond doubt. Profound Core Realm First Layer, plus nearly 80% of the sword power. Among many captains, it belongs to the top one. As a result, it is obvious that he has surrendered to the academy disciple. And he is truly surrendering with joy. Let's go. Seeing that there was no show to watch, everyone began to disperse. There was not much regret in his heart. After all, the strength of the army is the main thing. It's a good thing to have a strong one. Maybe we will fight side by side in the future. Like the previous academy disciples, not only can't help on the battlefield, but sometimes we even need their help, which is really a headache. Back to the position of the left camp. The lights are still bright, and everyone is doing their own things. Enter the camp. Yao Hongxiu took the initiative to step forward and help Luo Mu take off the armor on his body. The movements are skillful. When she was appointed as the captain, she served her elder sister, but unfortunately she was transferred to other places. I thought I would start to enjoy the service of others. Who would have thought? Captain, tomorrow is the time for the rotation of guards. We need to station in Tiangong Mountain. Yao Hongxiu walked over and said. In the tent, the lights were swaying and shining, and they fell on Yao Hongxiu's heroic face, which had a different flavor. Hearing this, Luo Mu turned around and looked at the map on the wall. Found Tiangong Mountain. Tiangong Mountain is also on the long border line. It's not particularly far from Xinhui City, about 3,000 miles. Are there any southern border tribes there? Luo Mu asked. There is one, called the Cheng tribe. It's not a big tribe, but it's very close. Yao Hongxiu nodded. There are 7 great Gu cultivators in the tribe. That's good. Luo Mu retracted his gaze. His Holy Spirit killing sword art has already entered great accomplishment. If he goes to the place where he is stationed and there is no one, there is no chance for the sword to be perfected. 7 great Gu cultivators. That's enough. Even if it may be insufficient due to low critical hits, there are still others in the tribe. That's good. Yao Hongxiu was stunned. I don't understand what Luo Mu means. There are 7 great Gu cultivators, and some are even at the peak of profound core realm. Among all the garrisons, it is a place that not many people are willing to go. Although there are formation defenses, it will be very difficult to resist. But I remember that Luo Mu realized the blade intent. He is very powerful. Even the old patriarch of the Razor clan could hardly be said to be able to overpower Luo Mu. Go down. Luo Mu waved his hand. Yes, I'll take my leave. Yao Hongxiu left the tent. Because Xinhui City is not very big, and the mobility of each camp is very high, basically they will leave after one day, so there is no corresponding accommodation. He gently pressed a formation plate on the table. An invisible formation enveloped the tent. Luo Mu then took out the 2 jade boxes given by Cheng Tiansong. As soon as he opened it, is this 4th grade pill, 4th grade spirit medicine? Luo Mu looked into it. There are 4 medicine bottles in total. When they are shaken, they make a ding-dong sound, which shows that there are quite a lot of them. There are 4 more spirit medicines, which are sealed by talismans to keep the medicinal properties from dispersing. This amount can indeed meet the needs of a profound core realm martial artist practice. If the critical hit rate is high, it is estimated that it will not be used up. Luo Mu's mouth curled up slightly. The 9th prince is really thoughtful. Even if these things are sealed, there is still a strong medicinal light flashing, which shows that they are indeed the best resources in the 4th grade. With these resources, it is not difficult to step into the profound core realm 9th layer in 2 months. Then there is the artistic conception stone. Luo Mu opened the 2nd jade box. There are 2 crystal stones inside, and the surface is tied with red lines, which can keep the artistic conception from dispersing as much as possible and will not impact out and hurt others. One is black, which contains blade and tint. The other is red, which contains the fist and tint. You gave me a fist and tint stone. Is it because I chose a fist technique in the treasure house? Luo Mu's eyes moved slightly. You are full of confidence in me. It is very, very difficult for a martial artist in the world to practice a style to the peak. Not to mention 2 styles. Shaking his head slightly, Luo Mu picked up the black blade and tint stone. First improve blade and tint, and then consider other things. This thing must be comprehended quickly. Otherwise, it will dissipate every day. Even if it dissipates slowly, it is a waste. Thinking, Luo Mu clenched the blade and tint stone in his right hand. Boom. In an instant, Luo Mu felt that a sword that could reach the sky appeared in his mind. How beautiful it is to describe it completely in words. It seems that all the true meanings of the sword are hidden in it. That is an infinite mystery. Luo Mu was instantly attracted, immersed in it. Soon, an hour later. Oh Jay, you concentrate and comprehend blade and tint. In tint stone, I have some enlightenment, trigger a critical hit, and get 30 times the reward. In my mind, a lot of insights emerged. It made the blade and tint, which had been stagnant for a long time, start to rise. Good. Luo Mu opened his eyes full of joy. It is worthy of being a state of mind stone. After only 1 hour of comprehension, he gained a lot of insights, which is far beyond what he could comprehend alone. At this rate, as long as the critical hit is not too low, 1 night is enough to increase it to 20%. Continue. Luo Mu excitedly immersed himself in it again. The next day, the mountains undulated like a dragon. In the raging wind, the weeds swayed. Snap. 1 foot stepped down and passed by dangerously. Is this Tiangong Mountain? Luo Mu stood on the edge of the mountain and looked into the distance. In the thin clouds and mist, he saw traces of living creatures on the distant plains. That's the Clam tribe. A voice sounded. Luo Mu turned his head. It was the current captain stationed at Tiangong Mountain, the 17th Battalion. Xianxia. The Clam clan is very powerful. Captain Luo had better not go out without permission unless it is necessary. Tiangong Mountain is protected by a formation. It is not as solid as a rock, but it is almost the same. Xianxia is a man with a big beard and looks to be in his 40s. Profound core realm 3rd layer. Not bad. I'll leave Tiangong Mountain to you, Xianxia said with a smile. Then he exhaled lightly and left with his 17th Battalion. It's finally time to change guard. I can have a good rest? Yeah. Luo Mu nodded. Yao Hongxiu began to take over the camp with ease. 1 night of practice. As Luo Mu expected, blade intent was successfully increased to 20%. The power increased greatly. After a while, Yao Hongxiu came over and said respectfully, "My lord, it's ready." "Yes." Luo Mu responded and pointed to the land of the Clam tribe in the distance. What kind of goo worms are the Clam tribes? Hundreds of tribes in southern Xinjiang. All practice goo dao, mainly nurturing goo worms. When they reach the profound core realm, they can merge with the goo worms and absorb Zhou Chen's abilities. And they can also control other goo worms of the same kind. Bronze beetle. This worm not only has extremely high defense, but also is not inferior in strength. Yao Hongxiu said, the goo cultivators in southern Xinjiang should not practice martial Dao. Luo Mu raised his eyebrows slightly. He remembered that he had seen corresponding records when reading books. It should be said that the focus is different. The 100 races focus on refining goo, but they are not so proficient in martial Dao. Yao Hongxiu replied. No wonder. Luo Mu nodded. When we killed those goo cultivators yesterday, none of them had the martial Dao potential. Goo worms are very special. Once they reach a certain level, they can naturally resist the martial Dao potential of our human race martial artist, or even the pressure of the martial Dao true meaning. For example, the martial Dao potential had no effect on those great goo cultivators yesterday. But you, my lord, have realized the martial Dao true meaning. With their current abilities, they can't compete at all. Generally speaking, the martial Dao true meaning belongs to the generals, that is, the level that only the strong people in the opening realm are qualified to contact. However, the goo worms of the great goo cultivators at the peak of the profound core realm have begun to approach the metamorphosis level and can already block the general true meaning pressure in a short period of time. For example, I Ching, Yao Hongxiu said a lot in one breath. Then let's improve it. Luo Mu retracted his gaze. Although he has already reached 20%, there is no need to rush. With the blade and tint stone, he will soon be able to reach 30%, or even higher. Then he will have to feed the Clam tribe with his knife. Just watch it normally. Luo Mu turned around and walked towards his tent. Yes. Yao Hongxiu nodded. Then she exhaled lightly. The last sentence was deliberately added by her. Of course it was true. There was no falsehood. Although she had only been with Luo Mu for a short time, she had realized that this young captain was full of murderous intent. This was not what a 17 or 18-year-old boy should have. If I didn't remind him, I was really afraid that this captain would rush out of Tiangong Mountain and directly kill into the clam tribe's territory. 0 in the tent. Luo Mu raised the formation. It would be great if I could do two things at the same time. Luo Mu sighed. There are too many things to do now. It would be perfect if they could be done at the same time. Without thinking too much, Luo Mu followed his own training plan. He took out two secret books. They were Liang Jin Shengong and Evergreen Technique. Liang Jin Shengong is the transcendent level advanced version of Shenyang Ba Ti Gong. In addition to absorbing the essence of yang, body tempering, it can also absorb the power of upper gold to improve defense. The power of the 5 elements has its own characteristics. The gold and earth elements have unique defensive effects. In addition to the defensive effect, the gold element also has the power of sharpness, which is more suitable for martial artists who use weapons. So most martial artists, if they have a choice, will still choose the gold element. Because the foundation is laid by Shenyang Ba Ti Gong. After the conversion, Liang Jin Shengong has already been introduced. Luo Mu's plan is practice martial arts in the morning, improve cultivation in the afternoon, and comprehend the blade and tint stone in the evening. His schedule is fully arranged. God rewards hard work, and only hard work can bring rewards. Luo Mu took a deep breath. He took out the corresponding resources and began to practice the Scorching Sun Golden Body Technique. Once the Scorching Sun Golden Body Technique is perfected, when it is performed, it can be transformed into a primordial origin golden body of 8 feet. Invulnerability to spears and sabers, invulnerable to all methods. While walking, the wind and fire connected the mountains, and the golden light shone in the world. Just looking at the style of painting, it is indeed outstanding. Begin. The Clam Clan. It is the king clan of the 100 clans in southern Xinjiang. 00 It is very powerful. Therefore, there are many subclans, wandering on the vast plains of southern Xinjiang, blessed by the great Gu God. Chief, the defense of Tiangong Mountain has changed, and a left camp has arrived. In the spacious and luxurious tent, a figure rushed in, inexplicably excited. The tribe leader looked middle-aged. His hair was tied into braids, his left eye was missing, and only half of his right eye was left, but he could still move. It was extremely weird. Left camp? Isn't that one of the 2 strongest camps in the First Army? What's so exciting about this? The leader of the Razor clan said coldly. The left camp is much stronger than the previous 17th camp. Although it is the left camp, it is not the previous captain, but a young boy who looks about 17 or 18 years old. The visitor was an elder of the Razor clan, only profound core realm first layer. Hearing this, the Razor clan leader stood up immediately. Are you sure? Absolutely true. My poisonous insect has been lurking in Tiangong Mountain. Although it has no strength, it is good at hiding and can be used for surveillance. Through the vision sharing once a month, I saw the process of changing guards. The elder said confidently. How can the dignified Zhuorying send a young man to be the captain? The chief of the clam tribe paced back and forth in the big tent and seemed to be a little confused. If he was stronger, it would be fine. But he is only the first layer of profound core realm. I guess he should be a disciple of Chang'e Academy, who came here to gild himself. The elder said, otherwise, how could a mere first layer become the captain of Zhuorying? That makes sense. The chief of the clam tribe's right eye lit up. This situation is not uncommon. On the contrary, it is quite common. These academy disciples are just flowers in the greenhouse, which are useless. Meet on the battlefield. It doesn't matter if they are weaker than us, we still have a good chance of killing them. Chief, the day of sacrifice is approaching, and our sacrifices are not ready yet. If the great Gu God gets angry, he will punish us. The elder said. Do you think this chief isn't trying to find a solution? All the old and useless people in the tribe have been counted, but it's still far from enough. The leader of the clam tribe snorted. We can attack Tiangong Mountain. The elder came closer and said, how can we fight whenever we want? Although the new captain of the left camp is of ordinary strength, Tiangong Mountain has a large formation for defense. Has anyone attacked it in all these years? The leader of the clam tribe shook his head. We can ask for help. Recently, a new tribe came to our southeast. I have heard that it is the Yin tribe. Their poisonous insects are good at drilling into the ground and absorbing the power of heaven and earth. Not to mention breaking the formation. At least they can open a big hole. Then we can rush in directly and take down the entire left camp as a sacrifice to the great poisonous god. The elder said excitedly. Are you sure? The leader of the clam tribe grabbed his shoulder. The Yin tribe is also King Clan, but most of them are in the Holy Mountain. Yeah. Although it hurt a little to be caught, the elder still nodded heavily. Okay, you go and arrange it. If this thing succeeds, it seems that you are indispensable. The patriarch of the Clam Clan laughed. Thank you, patriarch. The elder smiled happily. Chapter 68. Time flies. Half a month has passed in a blink of an eye. Tiangong Mountain is as calm as ever. Every day is spent in boring garrison. Our captain is very hardworking. I have never seen him come out of the tent. Yes, it has been half a month and I can't even see his shadow. The soldiers couldn't help but talk. Only when you finally harvest the fruits of your practice will you feel a little sense of accomplishment, but the process in between is so boring and boring. So few people can hold back and keep practicing. You have to walk out from time to time, stretch your muscles, breathe fresh air, etc. But this captain has been like a dead end since he entered the tent. Otherwise, geniuses also have to work hard. Otherwise, how can the captain, at such a young age, understand blade intent? Look at you, you don't have enough qualifications, but you are still chatting leisurely here. Chinfu Wangzhan came over. He carried a huge broadsword on his back, and with every step he took, a deep pit would appear on the ground. Now, he was naturally completely convinced of Luo Mu. Who told you to talk about the captain? Yao Hongxiu's voice sounded. Everyone's neck shrank, and they stood up. Meet the deputy captain. Don't you have anything to do? Go and practice. Work harder now, and when the war breaks out, you will have more chances to survive. Yao Hongxiu frowned. Yes. Everyone left in a hurry. Big sister. Wangzhen saluted. Spirit Sea Realm 9th layer. Not bad. It seems that you can try to break through in a while. Yao Hongxiu nodded slightly. Continue to practice. Yes. Wangzhen left. Then Yao Hongxiu's eyes fell on the huge tent not far away. Like most people's thoughts, Luo Mu is really too hardworking. Young people are in their prime, full of vigor and vitality. But now they are like a hardworking monk. It's really rare. Retracting her gaze, Lu Hongxiu also walked away. The lieutenant has been practicing, so some things fall on her head. In the tent, Luo Mu slowly opened his eyes. There was a flash of deep blue in the depths of his eyes. Ding! You concentrate on practicing, use a precious resource, practice evergreen technique, trigger a critical hit, and get 100 times the reward. In his mind, suddenly, a full 100 practice scenes appeared. Kakaka! The body suddenly vibrated. Under the skin, blue stripes appeared and spread all over the body. Then they disappeared again. It completely merged with the flesh and blood. Great accomplishment. Luo Mu raised the corner of his mouth. A smile appeared. Unlike Liang Jinshengong, the practice resources of evergreen technique are very scarce. When I was in Divine Medicine Pavilion, there were 30 copies of the former and only 2 copies of the latter. Fortunately, Luo Mu asked the disciple to get 100 secondary resources. The situation was exactly the same as what the disciple said. The secondary resources did have a very low production efficiency and the effect was average. Even in his hands, there was no exaggerated improvement. In the end, he had to rely on these 2 precious resources. It's a pity that they are all used up. Luo Mu looked at the jade box in front of him. Whether it was the secondary level or the 2 precious resources, they were all used up. If there were 2 more, it should be perfect. The practice of the method is really a gold-eating beast. These 2 critical hits add up to 160 times, which is equivalent to 160 resources, plus the previous secondary resources, but it can only barely great accomplishment. It's a bit scary. Of course, this is also related to his qualifications. The better the qualifications, the higher the absorption rate. It won't waste too much. Thinking of this, Luo Mu began to look forward to the mountain and see secret realm. 9 changes of the physical body. Mortal bones become immortal fetuses. As long as the transformation is successful, the qualifications are improved, and if you practice in the future and get a high critical hit, maybe a resource can directly achieve perfection. Try the effect. Luo Mu retracted his thoughts. Evergreen technique is the most important technique he currently values. Although it is not an offensive type, it can greatly improve the recovery of the physical body. Basic accomplishment realm. Wounds can be healed. Great accomplishment realm. Broken limbs are reborn. As for perfection, Even a shattered head and a pierced heart can be repaired immediately. Very domineering. Since practicing so far, he has already deeply felt the importance of the physical body. No matter how sharp your swordsmanship is, your body is the foundation. There are too many methods in this world that target your physical body. It can even be said that it is impossible to defend against it. Only when the physical body is strong, you are qualified to continue swinging the sword and stand to the end. Clang. Luo Mu pulled out the spirit knife. The appearance of the spirit knife has changed a lot now. It is pitch black, covered with blood veins, and exudes a cold breath that can penetrate the bones. The moment it was pulled out, the temperature in the tent dropped instantly, and one could even faintly hear shrill wailing, resentful curses, and angry roars. It was like the arrival of hell. It seems that the fusion is almost done. Luo Mu's eyes moved slightly. The nourished qi will gradually merge with the knife. No, to be precise, it actually devours the knife. Swish. Luo Mu cut a hole in his arm. The wound was immediately filled with a strong sense of death and began to devour the flesh and blood. It only devoured for half a breath before it encountered resistance. The deep green light in the flesh and blood flashed, not only instantly eliminating the sense of death, but also immediately repairing the wound. It was as good as new. Not bad. Luo Mu nodded slightly. His knife is different from that of ordinary people. Even a slight wound is enough to be fatal. Next is... Luo Mu stretched out his little finger. He chopped it off with a knife. Wow! The wound was gleaming with green light, and then blood gushed out, forming a new little finger. Okay. Luo Mu's eyes were bright. Although the Great Elder had promised that the actual effect of this technique was consistent with the content, only by seeing it in person could one be completely relieved. Then Luo Mu picked up the original little finger. Even if it could not be restored, he could sew it up immediately, visible to the naked eye. In this little finger, there was a deep green glow, like flowing water, flowing back into Luo Mu's body. This is the essence of wood, the legendary essence of vitality, rarely seen in the world. It is also the domineering part of evergreen technique. Even power of this nature can be cultivated. When it reaches the state of perfection, the quality of essence will be improved again. After the verification, Luo Mu sheathed the knife. Standing up, stretching his body a little, his body suddenly crackled nonstop. The powerful aura spread out, causing the camp formation to shake. It seems that he can't bear it. In the past half-month, Luo Mu has not only practiced evergreen technique to the great accomplishment, Fiery Sun Golden Body Skill, also great accomplishment, and the cultivation level has been raised to profound Core Realm 3rd layer. Blade intent has been raised to 50%. The strength has been greatly increased. Luo Mu has the confidence to weigh some garbage points of the earth-opening realm. Next, it's time to get down to business. Luo Mu tidied himself up and walked out of the formation with a knife. Hello, Captain. Outside the tent, a team of soldiers happened to pass by. When they saw Luo Mu, they were stunned at first, as if they didn't expect the captain to come out. Then they reacted and saluted quickly. Go and call Xianxia to this captain, and notify the whole camp to assemble. Luo Mu's face was calm, but his voice was filled with majesty. Yes. Several soldiers nodded quickly and went down to inform. Not long after, on Tiangong Mountain, dust and smoke rolled, and all 5,000 people were present. Looking at Luo Mu standing on the reviewing platform, they were a little confused. Why did they suddenly gather? Captain, is there something important to announce? Xianxia came over, glanced at Luo Mu, and was secretly shocked. It's only been half a month. Why did the pressure Luo Mu brought to her become stronger? If you get a little closer, you will feel your shoulders sink. Yeah. Luo Mu nodded and looked up at the sky. At this time, the sun was setting and night was about to fall. The whole camp is ready for battle. Luo Mu retracted his gaze and spoke slowly. The voice fell. After a short silence, he suddenly became a little agitated. Prepare for battle? What's going on? Is the clam tribe coming to attack? Discussions arose. The main thing is that it is calm now, and it doesn't look like a sign of war. Xianxia was also very surprised. Why wait for others to attack? Luo Mu looked at everyone with indifferent eyes. No one dared to look at him. Tonight at midnight, attack the clam tribe. The scene was quiet in an instant, and everyone was dumbfounded, as if it was a little unbelievable. The strength of the clam tribe is beyond doubt. There are 7 great Gu cultivators. There is even a veteran great Gu cultivator at the peak of profound core realm. It is already very good to be able to safely defend Tiangong Mountain now. Is this initiative a bit Excessive? Although Luo Mu is very powerful and has realized the true meaning of martial Tao, most people still feel that it is not enough. However, although they think so in their hearts, but no one dares to say it directly. Yes. Yao Hongxiu was stunned for a while, and then bowed in response. The only duty of a soldier is to obey. Besides, in her opinion, Luo Mu doesn't seem like a brainless person. He must have the confidence to do this. Then we have to follow the captain tonight and have a good fight. Don't fight me for heads. Qianfu Wangjing grinned. Waving the broadsword in his hand, Yiping has begun to look forward to it. Joining the army is not all for military merit. Staying in the camp all the time is safe, but it also forgets the original intention. After his interruption, the scene gradually became active. As the left camp, it is an elite, so it is naturally not afraid. With the captain leading, maybe we can really destroy this clam tribe, which is a great military merit. Zhao Lauer, you are short of elixir to break through. Kill a few more. Maybe you can get one in exchange. Good damn. We've been guarding for so long. It's time to relax. All the soldiers twisted their necks, and a strong desire to fight began to emerge in their eyes. Luo Mu nodded with satisfaction. Then he looked into the distance, falling on the hazy territory of the clam tribe. Night slowly fell. In the territory of the clam tribe, a bonfire gradually lit up. In the luxurious big tent, there was singing and dancing, delicious food, and it was so lively. Let's raise a toast to the sixth elder together. The chief of the clam tribe sat in the main seat, bit off a piece of beast meat, and said loudly, "Sixth elder, please." Everyone raised their glasses. The sixth elder was immediately flattered. After staying in the tribe for so long, this was the first time he had received such treatment. This time, thanks to the sixth elder, we finally succeeded in convincing the tribe to send an elder to help deal with the defense formation of Tiangong Mountain. The chief of the Razor Clam tribe put down his toast, and a smile appeared on his ferocious face. And he is an elder of the profound core realm. The sixth elder added, "He will arrive tomorrow. We will definitely be able to gather the required sacrifices before the sacrifice." Great. Excited voices rose. For all the tribes in southern Xinjiang, the most important thing is sacrifice. The legendary Gu God, sitting high in the sky, overlooking everything in the world. If you don't offer sacrifices, the great glory will be far away from you and the tribe. Without the protection of the Gu God, everyone will be eaten to death by the Gu worms in their bodies. Come on, keep drinking. The chief of the Clam Clan raised his glass, just when the high-ranking members of the Clam Clan were having a great time. In the vast darkness in the distance, the dense black shadows were approaching quickly. They even reached the nearest point soon. Why is there not a single sentry post? Luo Mu raised his eyebrows slightly. Logically speaking, they were less than 500 meters away, and should have been discovered. Who would have thought that the Clam Clan still did not make any movement? The Clam Clan would not have thought that ours worrying would take the initiative to attack. In the past, we were mainly stationed there. Yao Hongxiu said, the land of southern Xinjiang is shrouded by an inexplicable force. We, the Great Zhou Divine Sovereign human race, will have many bad symptoms over time, so we are not very interested in the land of southern Xinjiang. I see. Luo Mu nodded slightly. In this case, it is indeed difficult to arrange sentry posts. Thinking, Luo Mu walked out of the dense forest. The flesh body began to rise 4.6 meters higher, and there were flames burning and golden light flashing. After a few breaths, there was already a golden armored giant about 5 meters high in the original place. The terrifying aura made all the soldiers around them retreat subconsciously, with shock on their faces. This is body refining technique. Yao Hongxiu was stunned. Then she took a deep breath. And it must be a very superior body refining technique to have such a powerful effect. She just got close, and she felt like she was drowned by the blood and burned to death. I didn't expect Luo Mu to have practiced such a high-level technique. How much strength is hidden? Luo Mu drew out his spirit knife. He seemed to be holding a hell in his hand. Follow me, Captain! Exclamation point. Boom. In the darkness, golden light shone, and wind and fire connected the mountains. All the soldiers were immediately encouraged, rushed out of the dense forest, stepped on the flames on the ground, and followed Luo Mu. The golden light in front of them gave them endless confidence. The big tent was still bustling. Tomorrow, I will be the first to rush into Tiangong Mountain and take the head of the new captain of the left camp. Don't compete with me. An elder was slightly drunk and said in a low voice, "Haha, all for you, all for you." The patriarch of the clam tribe laughed. Bang! But the next second, a figure rushed into the tent with fear in his eyes. What's going on? You are so flustered. What a disgrace. The patriarch of the clam tribe said unhappily. The blind guy, didn't you see that he was drinking? The others were the same, with unhappy faces, and even kicked the man hard. Oh no, patriarch, the left camp of Een Mountain has come in. But the man didn't feel anything and cried. You can read more daily new novels on fictionzone.net. Both sites share the same login details, so you don't need to sign up again. Chapter 69. Bang! That was the sound of a wine glass falling and shattering on the ground. What? The chief of the clam tribe stood up immediately. Just as he was about to question it, he seemed to sense it, and his face changed drastically. When drinking, he was too relaxed, which greatly weakened his perception. But now he was a little more focused and immediately found it. How dare you? The chief of the clam tribe had a gloomy face. He hadn't even attacked Tiangong Mountain yet, and this group of Zhuorying dared to attack him. You're just in time. Take this opportunity to capture them and offer them to the Goo God. The chief of the clam tribe said loudly. Yes. Others also showed a cruel look. But when everyone walked out of the big tent, their faces changed drastically. But what he saw was a golden giant, like an ancient god, rushed in with a world-destroying magic knife in his hand. Every time he slashed, hundreds of tribesmen died on the spot. A large number of soldiers poured in from afar. Who is that man? The chief of the clam tribe was furious. He is the captain of the left camp. The sixth elder replied. Didn't you say profound core realm first layer? The chief of the clam tribe grabbed the collar of the sixth elder and said fiercely, Is it a disciple of the academy who came here to gild his guild? He is obviously profound core realm third layer now, and he has such strength. Is it something that those disciples of the academy can have? I can't. It was really only profound core realm first layer before. The sixth elder was so scared that he couldn't speak clearly. Swish, swish, swish. 5 figures flew out from the depths of the territory and landed in the central area. It's the old chief, and there are 4 great elders. Someone said in surprise. I'll settle accounts with you later. The chief of the clam tribe pushed the 6th elder away and flew forward with another person. There are currently 7 great goo cultivators in the clam clan. He is naturally one of them. Boom. With one slash, the earth shattered, and the terrifying saber chi swept across, directly chopping hundreds of clam clan members into pieces all over the ground. Luo Mu's mouth raised, because there were constant reminder sounds in his mind. It's a pity that the clam clan members under his feet are too weak. Even if there is 100 times critical strike, it is still a drop in the bucket for the Holy Spirit killing sword art. Stop! An angry voice sounded. 09 Luo Mu raised his eyebrows slightly, but the smile on his face became even bigger. Finally here. Profound core realm. This is his main goal. 7 in total. It will definitely make the sword art perfect. He raised his head slightly. Not far away, he saw 7 figures standing there. The momentum gathered was amazing. Old patriarch, it's the elders. The slaughtered clam tribe members finally breathed a sigh of relief, and then a look of resentment appeared on their faces. This human race is only the 3rd layer of profound core realm. The old patriarchs are all the best in profound core realm. We will definitely kill this beast. Avenge the dead tribe members. Bang! Another knife was slashed. A huge gully appeared on the ground, and hundreds of clam tribe members were crushed to pieces. You told me to stop, and I stopped. Wouldn't that be very embarrassing? Luo Mu made a knife flower and smiled slightly. How dare you? The old patriarch's hair turned gray. His left eye was gone, and it was a little weird. Grandpa, he is the left camp captain of Tiangong Mountain, the patriarch of the clam tribe said. Zhuorying? No wonder he dared to attack our territory. It's just the 3rd layer. Layer realm? Do you really think you can go back alive? The old patriarch said coldly. At the same time, his body began to change, gradually rising to 5 feet. Dense scales appeared on the body surface. People are not like people. Ghosts are not like ghosts. The way of goo cultivation is not natural. Luo Mu shook his head. All spirits in the world are natural. 2 arms grew out of the old patriarch's armpits. The mouth turned into a worm-like jaw. Seeing this, the 6 people next to him also began to change. Boom, boom, boom. 7 strange giants stood in the territory, and the golden armored gods not far away confronted. Come out, everyone hiding in the dark. The old patriarch suddenly spoke. The voice spread all over the place. Luo Mu raised his eyebrows slightly. What is this old monster doing? If you don't come out, I'm going to take action. The old patriarch spoke again. The cold eyes swept the surrounding darkness. He didn't believe that a mere profound core realm third layer would dare to bring the entire camp to attack his clan tribe. Even though this Xianxia third layer currently showed good strength and might have a high level of attainment, or even a martial Dao trend of 100%, he was a great cultivator at the peak of the Dan realm, a strong man who was endlessly approaching transformation, let alone the 100% martial Dao trend. Even the embryonic form of the true meaning, the pressure of 10% of the true meaning, would hardly affect him. So in his opinion, there must be other powerful people hiding in the darkness around him. Prepare to wait for the opportunity to strike. You old thing, you are very cautious. Luo Mu also understood. He suddenly laughed. Kill him. Take off his head. The old patriarch's eyes turned cold, and he gave the order directly. Without any hesitation, 6 great goo cultivators rushed directly towards Luo Mu. Although they were huge, but their speed was outrageous. As for the old patriarch, he was still standing there. He was still observing. His eyes, which had been turbid for a long time, were now extremely sharp, staring at the movements around him. He didn't focus on Luo Mu at all. In his opinion, 6 great goo cultivators could definitely capture Luo Mu. So fast. Xianxia had been paying attention to the battle on Luo Mu's side, but he found that he could only see the afterimage. Die. The patriarch of the clam tribe had arrived at Luo Mu. Mu's eyes were filled with cruelty. Today, so many tribesmen died. As the tribe leader, he must be blamed for the incident. So in order to calm the old tribe leader's anger, he must chop off this man's head with his own hands. And the entire's worrying. Boom. But the next second, the void seemed to be shaken, and an extremely terrifying pressure suddenly emerged, covering the entire clam tribe territory. Bang. In an instant, the 6 great goo cultivators who had just approached Luo Mu knelt on the ground in an instant. It seemed that there were 100,000 mountains pressing on their bodies. They couldn't even lift their heads. Bang, bang, bang. Some weaker clam tribes were crushed into meat paste on the spot. In just a breath of time, the entire territory was already covered with blood red. What? The old tribe leader who was observing the surroundings suddenly changed his face and looked at Luo Mu in disbelief, because even he felt the infinite pressure at this moment, coming down on his head and pressing on him. Boom. Behind Luo Mu, an illusory giant sword slowly rose up and stood between heaven and earth. Compared with before, the giant sword has become much more solid now. It even has a tendency to crystallize. Blade in tint. The cruelty on the face of the clam tribe leader has long disappeared, leaving only deep shock and disbelief. The martial Dao's true meaning appeared on a profound core realm, and it's not even a prototype. Gundam. 50%. The old patriarch's only right eye also shrank into a dot. The martial Dao's true meaning is the standard of the human race general. That is, it can only be possessed by the strong in the earth-opening realm. If you want to possess a profound core realm, you must be a natural noble and have the bloodline. But this person's blade intent is not a bloodline blade intent at all. Intent, the aura is completely consistent with the person, which means that he figured it out by himself. It is his own thing. Thinking of this, the old patriarch's scalp tingled. At this moment, he finally understood why this guy dared to bring Zhuang to attack the clam tribe. There are no helpers around. No strong men are hiding in the darkness. This kid relies on himself. Damn it. When did the human race have such a terrifying monster? Not only the Clam clan, but also Xianxia and others in the left camp were stunned. Remember half a month ago, wasn't the captain 10% blade intent? How come it has become 50% now? Martial Dao is very difficult to improve, let alone the true meaning of martial Dao. How many generals in the army have not reached the level of 50%, and many even stay at the level of 10% or 20%? But the captain is only at the profound core realm. In half a month, the true meaning has been improved from 10% to 50%. Is this too outrageous? Because of exaggeration? Can people really do it? Everyone gasped, with deep shock in their eyes. Damn it, I've lived for most of my life, and I've seen the reincarnation of the martial god. Captain Wang Zhan swallowed his saliva. At this moment, everyone, like the old patriarch, finally understood why their captain dared to attack the clam tribe. A full 50% blade intent. A level of true intent that even many generals don't have. Even if it's the peak of profound core realm, It has to be restricted. What's there to be afraid of? Swish. In the dark night, the cold blade flashed. 6 heads flew out, and the body was chopped into pieces. The face of the clam tribe chief was still blank. It seemed that he didn't expect that he would die like this. He didn't even fight, and didn't even touch the body of this human race. Bang, bang, bang. Heads fell to the ground one after another, crisp and loud. No. The old patriarch came back to his senses. His eyes were bloodshot. The voice was full of pain and anger. These 6 great goo cultivators were the pillars of the tribe. They had spent countless efforts and resources on them. But now, in just a moment, they were all gone. Luo Mu shook off the strange blood on the blade. He actually wanted to have a good fight with these clam tribes. Because the goo insects of these clam tribes were copper beetles, with strong physiques and extremely high defense, and he didn't know which one was stronger than his scorching sun golden body skill. But he thought that this was a life-and-death battle. This was not an ordinary arena competition. If he was not careful, he would capsize in the ditch. Besides, he didn't know much about the goo cultivators in southern Xinjiang, so he should go all out and kill them directly. Ding! You used the Holy Spirit killing blade art to kill a profound core realm first layer great goo cultivator, trigger a critical hit, and get a 40-fold reward. OJ! You used the Holy Spirit killing blade art to kill a profound core realm 6th layer great goo cultivator, trigger a critical hit, and get a 60-fold reward. 6 consecutive ascending sounds rang out in my mind. It was like the most beautiful sound of nature in the world. At the same time, the spirit's sword also began to vibrate wildly, even exuding excitement, because it had never eaten so much death and negative emotions in one breath. In the blade, 4/5 of the killing energy had turned into crystals, and now it was just one step away. Boom! Unimaginable amounts of death and negative emotions emerged and were madly devoured by the killing energy, visible to the naked eye. The killing energy was crystallizing rapidly and becoming more and more perfect. And the spirit sword was also changing. Endless black air rushed up into the sky, like a tornado, and the terrifying killing intent filled the world. It was terrifying. Gurgle. Everyone swallowed their saliva and stepped back subconsciously. Captain, is this the killing martial arts? Someone said. Only the killing martial arts can have such a terrifying killing intent, shocking people. Facing such martial arts, before the fight begins, one's own spirit has been affected, and the strength cannot be fully exerted. Yes, Yao Hongxiu had thought about it before. Qingmu City, Heike Ridge. These 2 times, Luo Mu's knife was full of killing intent, not the ordinary kind, but very exaggerated. Killing intent is like a deep abyss, killing aura is like the sea. And now this scene is completely confirmed. No wonder he took the initiative to attack the clam tribe. It's all for cultivation. Boom. After a few breaths, the killing energy was finally complete, and the spirit sword was completely integrated. At this moment, Saber Chi is a sword. The two are inseparable, and Saber Chi has a real entity, so its power is naturally even higher. Not bad. Luo Mu looked at the spirit sword in his hand, and his mouth slowly raised. He could feel the power contained in it. That is absolutely terrifying, far beyond the previous one. This sword is enough to turn this place into a hell on earth. You actually use my tribe to practice swordsmanship? The old patriarch clenched his hands, and fear, anger, and many other emotions emerged in his eyes. It can be said that he was mixed with emotions. At this time, he naturally saw that the real purpose of this person's attack on the clam tribe was not the usual you come and I go, but to practice swordsmanship. Thank you very much. Without you, clam tribe, I don't know when my swordsmanship can be perfected. As a reward, I will lock you up and reunite with my tribe as soon as possible, Luo Mu said slowly. Boy, don't be so arrogant. The old patriarch was angry and was about to say something back. Luo Mu attacked instantly. A fleeting glimpse. It was so fast that it was hard for people to react. But the old patriarch reacted, but reaction did not mean that he could avoid it perfectly. Swish. The left arm was broken. Luo Mu raised his eyebrows slightly. He is indeed the peak of profound core realm. Under the pressure of his true meaning, he was able to avoid the vital points. Great Goo God, give me boundless power. The old patriarch did not care about the loss of an arm at all. His right hand even inserted into his chest and took out a green heart. But the heart began to flash. It turned into flowing water and quickly covered the old patriarch's whole body. Crack. The old patriarch was surrounded by countless iron chains. The true meaning pressure failed. This place is southern Xinjiang, covered by the glory of Gugad, and it can still be done at a corresponding price. Die! The old patriarch roared. He swore to avenge the tribe. Even if he died, he had to drag this man down with him. Draw the sword. Luo Mu was not careless. Instantly sheathed the sword, in the posture of drawing the sword. The sword technique was perfect. In addition, it was blessed by 50% of blade intent. This sword, let alone the peak of profound core realm, even ordinary earth-opening realms dare not touch the edge lightly. The world seemed to be quiet. There was a sense of oppression that a storm was coming. Everyone felt an indescribable danger. The old patriarch was even more chilled. He knew that this sword would be very strong, and he would most likely not be able to block it and would die. But there was no way out now. The muscles all over his body swelled, and he rushed towards Luo Mu. Swish! The next second, the terrifying sword light bloomed. It was like hell appeared in the world. An endless murderous aura swept across the sky and earth. Where the sword light passed, the earth cracked, sand and rocks flew, until it passed through the body of the old patriarch. The old patriarch was trembling all over. He was only 30 meters away from Luo Mu, but these 30 meters were like a natural chasm that could not be crossed. Swish! The body was split into two halves, but there was an inexplicable force surging, as if it wanted to stick together again. Only on the wound, dense and strange black characters began to appear, like a curse from hell, madly devouring all his vitality. Even the so-called Gu God's glory dimmed. Killing curse. This is a derivative of the perfection of Holy Spirit killing sword art, the product of the fusion of death and negative emotions. More domineering than pure death. Death can be suppressed by vitality, but curses cannot. Once cut by the spirit knife, even a little wound is enough to be fatal. Not dead yet? Luo Mu frowned, because he hadn't heard the prompt sound yet. Chapter 70. After careful observation, it was discovered that there was a goo worm in the old patriarch's body, which was the copper beetle. Unlike other copper-colored goo worms, this goo worm has begun to turn silver. Facing transformation, it was because of the desperate resistance of this goo worm that the old patriarch did not die immediately even though he was split into two. The old patriarch's only remaining right eye looked at Luo Mu, flashing with despair and resentment. He did not expect that one day, the entire clan would be wiped out by a mere lieutenant of the Great Zhou Divine Sovereign. In the future, South Xinjiang will have an additional, extremely difficult enemy. At this age, it is unimaginable to have such strength. Crack! The goo worm finally could not withstand the erosion of the killing curse and shattered, and the brilliance in the old patriarch's eyes completely dimmed. Ding! You used the Holy Spirit killing blade art to kill a profound core realm peak goo cultivator, triggering a critical hit and gaining a 100-fold reward. In his mind, a reminder sounded. Luo Mu's expression relaxed slightly. Until he was sure that this person was completely dead, he would not completely relax. Southern Xinjiang goo cultivators are known for their weirdness. Who knows what trump cards they have left? Many human race masters thought they had a sure win, but ended up capsizing in the gutter. Kaka! The blade vibrated, becoming more terrifying and profound, and it seemed to be brewing something. The perfection of the sword art is not the end. It can still be improved. When it absorbs enough death and negative emotions, it can even give birth to shaling, a terrifying existence similar to the spirit of the weapon. Captain, Xianxia came forward with all the soldiers. The night wind was cold, and the ground was full of fire. Everyone looked at Luo Mu with deep awe and a hint of a gradually brewing enthusiasm. Who in the world today can possess 50% of blade intent in profound core realm? Who can rush into southern Xinjiang, fight 1 against 7, and kill 7 great goo cultivators with absolute crushing power, including one at the peak of profound core realm? Even with the glory of the goo god, it can't stop the captain's sword. Such combat power. It's simply unheard of. Clean up the battlefield. Clean up everything. Luo Mu turned around, his eyes indifferent. Yes. Xianxia didn't dare to look Luo Mu in the eye, or no one dared. After the sword formula was perfected, Luo Mu's eyes, even if deliberately restrained, were still full of murderous intent. It was terrifying. Although this place was only a branch of the Clam clan, it was also a large clan among the branches. So after the cleaning, there were a lot of spoils in front of him. Luo Mu even saw. Not bad. Luo Mu picked up 3 things. They were the precious resources needed to practice the evergreen technique. There were only 2 copies of this resource in the academy at present, and there was actually 1 copy in the inventory of the clam tribe. It was covered with dust. Obviously, for the clam tribe, this thing was useless. It was just kept there because it looked precious. An unexpected surprise. Luo Mu's eyes were bright. In this way, he could shock the evergreen technique begin. Although this technique was not used in today's battle, he still had to continue to strengthen it. After all, after perfection, it was equivalent to having an extra life. There are many tricks in this world. Who knows when he will encounter a secret technique that can pass through his body and crush his heart. In addition, the floating light step must also be practiced to perfection. Just now, he drew his sword. He didn't kill the old thing directly. Obviously, his speed was not enough. Let the other party react. Luo Mu thought about it for a while, and then he knew where there were deficiencies and where to make up for them. Captain, we found an underground palace under the territory, and inside it are the old, weak, and young people of the clam tribe. Xianxia came over. He hesitated and said, "Do you still need to ask me about this?" Luo Mu frowned. He looked at her with some suspicion. Xianxia lowered her head quickly. "I know. After all, she is a woman. Sometimes, when she is touched by a pitiful look, she may be inexplicably soft-hearted." A moment later, in the underground palace, a strong smell of blood rolled out. "Collect the heads and take all the spoils." In the excited shouts, the 5,000 people in the left camp, without any damage, began to return to Tiangong Mountain. The next day, it was just dawn. A figure slowly came from a distant place. He was wearing a thick robe. Under him was a rather strange beast, like a turtle, but it has 16 pairs of legs. It is huge, and every time it moves forward, it is like sliding, moving forward 100 meters. It leaves a long trail. Are we almost there? The figure opened his eyes. He looked at the territory of the clam tribe not far away. After the clam tribe spent a lot of resources, he finally agreed to help solve the formation problem of Tianqian Mountain. Today is the day to meet. If you take money from others, you must do things for them. This is the principle. The tribe raised his eyebrows slightly. He sniffed gently. Why is there a bloody smell? The tribe thought he had smelled it wrong, but after sniffing it carefully a few more times, his face suddenly changed subtly. It is indeed the smell of blood, and it can be smelled at this distance. 159. After hesitating, the tribe drove the strange beast and rushed forward quickly. When they arrived at the territory, the tribe took a breath of cold air directly. As far as the eye can see, it is all ruins, with corpses everywhere, to be precise, headless corpses. How is it possible? The tribe is unbelievable. The clam tribe here is also a big tribe. There are 7 great goo cultivators, one of whom is even on the verge of transformation, but now they are all dead. He saw the 7 particularly tall corpses. Who did it? The tribe thought subconsciously, but soon there was an answer. Who else could it be? Such an obvious beheading method must be the Great Zhou Divine Sovereign human race. Pooh! The tribe's face suddenly became angry and spit fiercely. Good death. Before coming, this group of clam tribes assured him that the soldiers of Great Zhou Divine Sovereign on Tiangong Mountain were very weak, so vulnerable that they were not worth mentioning and could be easily taken down. He believed it. But damn, is this called weak? Before he could actively attack others, he was already taken care of by others. Damn, it's a good thing that I was greedy for beauty yesterday and didn't come early. Fortunately, the strong men on Tiangong Mountain had already dealt with these idiots in advance. Otherwise, if I followed these idiots and rushed to Tiangong Mountain today, I would definitely end up with no return. Swirl. The tribe did not hesitate at all, controlling the strange beasts and quickly returning to the way they came. That speed was almost 10 times faster than when they came, and this matter must be reported to the upper tribe as soon as possible. The defense force of Tiangong Mountain has changed. The general attack in a while must be paid attention to. At this time, Tiangong Mountain was extremely lively. Everyone was inexplicably excited and smiling. According to military regulations, the spoils obtained by rushing into southern Xinjiang do not need to be handed in and can be kept for oneself. So this wave of genocide really made a lot of money. And what made them most happy was the captain just picked a few things, and then waved his hand and gave them all to them. It's really God's mercy that we meet such a good captain. Not only is he powerful, but he is also so generous. What he got from the battle last night is equivalent to my salary for almost 5 or 6 years. A soldier said excitedly. Yes, Thinking back to Qingmu City, we still wanted to stop the captain from taking office. It's ridiculous. Don't mention it. The more I think about it, the more ashamed I feel. I want to slap myself twice. If you can't do it, I can help. Get out. Yao Hongxiu stood not far away, listening to these discussions, shook her head and smiled. Not everyone has such luck in life. Meet someone like the captain, powerful and generous. Luckily, Lord Shuiyong sent such a captain here. Instead of appointing her, she didn't think she could lead the left camp to fight out of Tiangong Mountain and destroy a big clan. Just thinking of her performance last night, Hongxiu couldn't help but clench her fists. I really don't know what I was thinking at that time. I actually asked such an idiotic question. The enemy is the enemy. No matter the old, weak, women or children, the grass must be cut to the root. No need to hesitate. Now the impression of the captain on her should have become particularly bad. But she really overestimated herself. Luo Mu didn't have the energy to focus on her. After returning, he continued to practice. I got a resource from the clam tribe. You can try to impact the evergreen technique of the perfect realm. But because there is only one resource, if the critical hit is low, it is likely that it will not be perfect. So Luo Mu had to use the method of his previous life. That is pad the knife. Practice other things first. If there is no particularly high critical hit for 9 consecutive times, then at the 10th time, it is likely to appear. This is also one of the rules he has summed up after practicing for so long. In the tent, Luo Mu sat cross-legged, and the resources in front of him were empty, obviously consumed. Visible to the naked eye, many dark green lines appeared on the surface of Luo Mu's body, like breathing, appearing and disappearing from time to time, and at the same time becoming more and more vibrant. At a certain moment, ding, you concentrate and focus on using a precious resource to practice the evergreen technique, trigger a critical hit, and get 300 times the reward. In his mind, the system prompt sounded 300 times. Luo Mu opened his eyes, and a deep surprise appeared in his eyes. Sure enough, his method is useful, although not absolute, but highly likely. Boom. The moment the words fell, the wood essence in the body surged wildly. The rich essence of vitality, like an ancient tree stretching, extends to every part of the body and then settles down, completely merging with the flesh and bones. It can be seen that the wood essence, which was originally just glowing, has begun to appear liquid, and the quality has obviously been greatly improved. Completely up a level. Perfect. A smile appeared on Luo Mu's face. He had never felt such a moment, feeling full of vitality, just like the arrival of spring. Even if there was only a head left, it could be restored immediately. Of course, he would not cut off his head for the test. There was no need. This is only the first part of the evergreen technique. What will be the effect of the second part? Luo Mu became a little curious. The first part alone has such a heaven-defying effect. The second part is really unimaginable. It's a pity that the second part has been lost and is not in the academy. In fact, with the evergreen technique, I can practice some forbidden techniques that are more harmful. Luo Mu's eyes moved slightly, and suddenly a light flashed. Anyway, the body's recovery ability is so strong. There is no need to be afraid of forbidden techniques hurting the body. When I return to the academy in the future, I can ask the elder or the manager. After making up his mind, Luo Mu regained his mind and began to practice other things. Although the evergreen technique is complete, there are still scorching sun golden body technique, floating light step, cultivation, true meaning, etc. There are still many areas to improve. Only by improving all aspects to the extreme can we use absolute strength to overwhelm those blood nobles and sect pride in the mountain and sea secret realm in the near future. Seize the top spiritual objects. Soon, the news that the left camp of Tiangong Mountain destroyed the clam tribe reached Xinwei City. Shuiyong Ho was discussing the next deployment with the generals because the spies from the southern border reported. 3 king clans in the southern border joined forces. Finally, they are ready to attack the border of Great Zhou Divine Sovereign again. Are you sure? Cheng Tiansong was stunned when he heard the news. He remembered that the clam tribe on the other side of Tiangong Mountain was very powerful, with 7 great goo cultivators and even a profound core realm peak. It is not easy to kill a great goo cultivator in the land of southern Xinjiang. Yes, more than 10,000 heads of the clam clan have been sent to the city. No falsehood. After the words fell, the hall was silent. Even many generals looked at him sideways. It is difficult to kill a goo cultivator in the land of southern Xinjiang, because of the so-called glory of the goo god. A profound core realm first layer, Even if he has 10% of blade intent, it is still very difficult to kill a profound core realm peak. How about it? There is no problem with the person I chose. Chang Tiansong looked at all the generals present, and a proud smile appeared on his face. When he chose Luo Mu to serve as the captain of the left camp, many of these people opposed it on the spot, and even gave many reasons. What kind of academy disciples, newcomers, and incompetents, etc. But they were all suppressed by him directly. Of course there is no problem. I always support the marshal. Yes, I was very optimistic about that kid at the beginning, although I have never met him. Chang Tiansong almost vomited blood. These guys changed their faces more decisively than anyone else. But he didn't care in his heart, because those who can work under him are not bad in nature, and the reasons for his opposition at the beginning are indeed understandable. There is not much selfishness. Pass my order. According to the military merit, immediately send the corresponding resource rewards to the left camp of Tiangong Mountain. Chang Tiansong said. Yes. It seems that this kid's strength has improved a lot during this period. Chang Tiansong stroked his beard gently, his eyes moved slightly. Relying on the strength of half a month ago, it is still difficult to do. Then shook his head. Luo Mu's training speed is obvious to all. Not to mention half a month. Even a few days can make people look at him with admiration. So there is no need to be too surprised. Where were you just talking about? Chang Tiansong asked. South Xinjiang Spy. Chapter 71. Time flies. In the blink of an eye, it has been a month and a half. Because the clam tribe in the distance has been destroyed, Tiangong Mountain seems to be more peaceful. It is very leisurely. However, all the soldiers in the left camp did not waste time. They used the available resources to improve themselves crazily. So the current left camp, compared with before, it has been greatly improved. There are 3 more spirit sea realms. And the Centurion Wang Zhun has also successfully broken through to the profound core realm. In this way, there are 3 profound core realm martial artists in the left camp. Not many camps can have such strength. For a while, the morale of the entire left camp was extremely high. In the tent, Luo Mu sat cross-legged. In his right hand, he held a crystal stone. It was the blade intent stone. However, the originally sparkling blade intent stone is now very dim, like a candle in the wind, which will go out at the first blow. Luo Mu closed his eyes and was completely immersed in it. I don't know how long it took. OJ, you concentrate on studying the blade intent stone, and you gain insights. A flash of inspiration triggers a critical strike, and you gain 1,000 times more. The prompt sounded. Boom. In an instant, an unimaginable amount of insights poured into Luo Mu's mind. Densely packed, countless, and vast. They were quickly absorbed by Luo Mu. Clang, clang, clang. Blade intent now exists in his mind. It was an illusory giant sword that almost penetrated the sky and the earth. But now almost 90% of it has turned into substance, and under this huge amount of insights, the remaining 10% has also begun to transform into substance. Crack, crack, crack. The giant sword that penetrates the sky began to vibrate. It seemed to know that he was about to usher in a qualitative leap. Boom. About a moment later, the giant sword is completely solid, glittering. It emits a horror that cannot be described in words. Dao rhyme. 700 Luo Mu opened his eyes. There seemed to be endless flashes of sword light in his eyes, and the terrible pressure made the great formation of the tent tremble wildly. This is the peak formation of the 4th grade. In short, even the profound core realm 9th layer cannot break it, so the lieutenant can practice in it with peace of mind. No fear of affecting others. No fear of being affected by others. But now this great formation is almost unable to bear it. And this is the result of Luo Mu's self-suppression. Otherwise, this great formation would collapse in an instant. Close your eyes slowly. Everything disappears, and the great formation finally returns to calm. But it can be clearly seen that cracks have appeared in many places. I didn't expect that there would be a 1,000-fold critical hit in the end, and it was still a flash of inspiration. Open your eyes. A surprised smile appeared on Luo Mu's face. A few days ago, he worked hard and gradually improved blade intent to 90%. If he continued like this, it would not be difficult to reach 100%. But the blade intent stone could not hold on any longer. This thing was dispersing itself every day and could not last any longer. I thought I might stagnate at more than 90%. Who would have thought that there would be a 1,000-fold critical hit in the end? Directly improved blade intent to 100% perfection. Crack. The blade intent stone in his hand completely dimmed, and even cracks appeared, turning into powder and slipping through his fingers. Luo Mu shook his hands and stood up. A rather terrifying aura gradually emerged from his body. 1.5 months of immersive practice. The harvest was naturally very great. It can be said that all of Luo Mu's plans have been completed. All 4 Earth-rank high-grade martial arts are perfect. What about cultivation? It has also been promoted to the profound core realm 9th layer. This is thanks to the resources given by the 9th prince, which are indeed extremely rare and superior. Otherwise, if it were a little more ordinary, he would not be able to reach perfection in such a short time. Transformation. Luo Mu raised his hands and looked at his palms. As Cheng Tiansong said, when a martial artist reaches the profound core realm 9th layer, the body will indeed burst out with the desire to transform. Every inch of skin, every piece of flesh, every root bone, etc. are thirsty. 9 transformations of the body. Luo Mu's eyes also showed expectations. Now he has enough cultivation, blade intent is perfect, and he also has 4 Earth-rank high-grade martial arts. With such martial Dao background, I believe that even the so-called blood nobles and sect prodigies will not be his opponents. This is not blind self-confidence, but it is well-founded. Just this 100% blade intent has surpassed 99% of the evildoers. You should know that even the true intention level of many generals in the Shenwei army is still 10%, 20%, 30%, or 40%. He is only in the profound core realm now, but he has already completed the road of blade intent. It's a pity that the mountain and sea secret realm has been postponed for a month, and we have to wait a little longer. Luo Mu shook his head. Without spiritual objects, he can't break through to the earth-opening realm and transform his body. Then what should I do next? Luo Mu thought. I have basically practiced everything I should practice. I almost forgot that there is also a boxing method and a boxing stone. Luo Mu remembered. Before, he didn't have the energy and time to learn boxing, but now he has time, so he might as well practice it. It can be regarded as adding a trump card to himself. And if he remembers correctly, the true meanings can be integrated. For example, if 2 100% true meanings are integrated with each other, the power of 10 of them can be greatly increased. But for ordinary people, it is extremely difficult to understand one true meaning, let alone 2. And they must be 100% accomplished. It's as difficult as ascending to heaven. Continue to practice. Luo Mu did not take out the Earth-rank high-grade Silence God Fist, but picked the human-level one from the previous spoils. Everything has to be done step by step. The next day, just when Luo Mu was still studying, the camp formation trembled, and Yao Hongxiu's voice came from outside. Captain, there is something important. Hearing this, Luo Mu immediately put away the boxing manual and stood up. As if nothing important, Yao Hongxiu would never disturb him. Walk out of the tent. Yao Hongxiu stood outside. Luo Mu looked at her, nodding slightly. In a month and a half, Hongxiu had already reached the profound core realm 2nd layer, and she had walked a long distance in this realm. What's the matter? Luo Mu asked. The order from Shenwei City says that the 3 king clans in the southern border are ready to attack the border of our Great Zhou Divine Sovereign. Please be prepared, Captain. After Yao Hongxiu finished speaking, she secretly observed Luo Mu with her watery eyes. He was secretly shocked. I thought that I had made some progress in my cultivation, and the pressure would be less when I stood in front of the captain. Who would have thought that it would get bigger and bigger? It was as if there was no person in front of me, but a majestic peak, towering into the clouds, and its top could not be seen. The more I sensed, the more unfathomable it seemed, and the more I felt that I was getting smaller and smaller. He shook his head fiercely. Only then did he manage to get out of it. Otherwise, it would become his inner demon in the future. Is the war going to start? Luo Mu was startled. He really didn't expect to hear this news. He had been in the border for so long, and he had been practicing most of the time. So much so that he almost forgot another purpose of coming here. That was military merit. It's finally here, and it's not too late. Luo Mu walked forward, came to the edge of the mountain, and looked at the seemingly endless plain in the south, his eyes getting brighter and brighter. With his current strength, the garbage point of the earth-opening realm, which is just an ordinary 1st layer transformation, can really kill it. 2nd layer is not impossible. After all, the power of 100% blade intent is not just talk. Pass it on. In the next few days, strictly check the formation and defense law weapon every day, and don't slack off, and be ready to welcome the arrival of war at any time. Luo Mu tilted his head. There was an excitement in his voice that was difficult to suppress. Yes, Yao Hongxiu didn't understand why the voice of the captain would be so high. After all, this is a real war. It is not the usual small fight. Even the strong men of the opening Earth realm will appear. Shenwei City. In the hall. The seats are full, and the atmosphere is not as solemn as imagined. After all, the invasion of southern Xinjiang is not a rare thing. It will come every few years. Fight back, recuperate, and then come again. Obviously, there is no actual benefit, but the southern Xinjiang side is happy to do it. Just deal with it according to the previous arrangements, and make slight adjustments to the other places. Cheng Tiansong crossed on the map. Yes. All the generals stood up and saluted. This is also the last time we fight side by side. You have to change a general in the future, Cheng Tiansong said with a smile. General, I will remember you. Snap. Cheng Tiansong retracted his hand. The general's forehead suddenly had a slap mark. You are a big, strong man. If you don't know how to use idioms, don't use them. What commemoration? That's called nostalgia. Cheng Tiansong stroked his beard. Marshal, nostalgia is not right. A famous scholar said, it should be thinking about it. Hearing this, Cheng Tiansong's face froze. I suffered from the lack of culture, this hateful reading area. Marshal, are you really leaving? Someone said after a short calm. It was just a joke. Everyone was still reluctant to leave, and some of them had been following Cheng Tiansong for a long time. It's almost time. I have stayed in the 9th layer of the Earth-opening realm for too long. If I suppress it any further, I will miss the last chance. Cheng Tiansong said. Then I wish you all the best. Everyone bowed. In this world, there is an agreement that martial artists above the Earth-opening realm are not allowed to participate in any struggles in the world, unless it is the time of national destruction. Because the bad power of martial artists of that level is too terrible. One look. It is enough. South Xinjiang. The most mysterious and strange region in the eyes of the world. It is also the most disgusting. They are obviously human race, but they merged with goo insects and finally became neither human nor ghost, which is extremely disgusting. On the huge plain, flags fluttered, and dense figures walked out of the distant clouds. The shapes were weird and difficult to describe. Woo! The heavy and melodious flute sound suddenly resounded through the world. The huge army of goo cultivators suddenly accelerated the speed. The earth shook, the mountains shook, and they began to charge towards the distant border. You can read more daily new novels on fictionzone.net. Both sites share the same login details, so you don't need to sign up again. Chapter 72. The Lei clan, the Yi clan, and the Yin clan. They are all king clans among the hundreds of clans in southern Xinjiang. They are extremely powerful. 9 huge beasts are pulling a luxurious palace. The palace seems to weigh a lot. Even though they are beasts, they have a look of hunger in their eyes from time to time. At this time, in the palace, several sturdy figures are sitting. Everyone is shrouded in a powerful vision, and their faces cannot be seen clearly. Suddenly, a black-robed figure appeared in the palace. Guys from the Red Moon Demon cult, the deal between southern Xinjiang and you has already ended. Why do you still appear? The voice came from one of them. I came here this time hoping that the nobles can help me eliminate a person. Who? The captain of the left camp of the First Army, according to the news, seems to be stationed in Tianqian Mountain. Captain, isn't it just profound core realm? With such cultivation, why do you need to rely on us? Can't you, the Red Moon Demon sect, do it? The current Shenwei army is full of spies, and my Red Moon Demon sect can't get involved at all. The black robe voice was hoarse. Besides, my sect's current energy is temporarily placed elsewhere, and we can't send strong people here. If you want my clan to take action, the price will be very expensive. One person's voice was playful. The price is not a problem, as long as it can succeed. The black robe figure replied. Okay, just a captain. I will send a team of capable goo cultivators over. I need to remind the Thunder King that he is not an ordinary captain. Although he is only profound core realm, he has already realized the true meaning of martial Tao. This sentence fell. The atmosphere in the hall was slightly still. It seems to be a demon from Changle Academy. No wonder you want to attack us. Thunder King said slowly. In this case, I will send a person from the Earth-opening realm. It should be okay. It's better to send more people. That kid is growing very fast. Now 2 months have passed, and I don't know what level he has reached. The black robe said. Could it be that he has already reached the Earth-opening realm? That's definitely not the case. The black robe shook his head. The mountain and sea secret realm has not been opened. How can an apex-level demon like Luo Mu use ordinary spiritual objects to break through? It's fine if he doesn't have it. He hasn't reached the Earth-opening realm. How strong can he be? What's the point of realizing the true meaning of martial Tao? With only 20% or 30%, can he still fight against the Earth-opening realm? Thunder King's tone became casual. Just a reminder, that kid can't be inferred by common sense. If he dies, it will also be good for southern Xinjiang. At least there will be one less tough enemy in the future. After saying that, the black robe slowly disappeared from the spot. September, this old guy, has always been concise and never talks nonsense, but today he said so much. A person next to him said, maybe we should pay a little more attention to it. I seconded the proposal. Profound Core Realm has the true meaning of martial Tao. It should not be underestimated. Even if it is the true meaning of bloodline, he deserves to be taken seriously. Okay. Half a day later, the earth shook, and even the mountains were shaking. On the plain outside Shenwei City, you can already see the dark torrent rushing in. It's like a dark cloud pressing down on the city. This invasion is much faster than expected. Cheng Tiansong and other generals have already stood on the city wall, and there are millions of troops lined up outside the city, ready to fight at any time. This southern border is really unchanging. It's basically these three king clans, a general said, who made them weak. Cheng Tiansong said leisurely. Hearing this, everyone was a little puzzled. Since it was an invasion, shouldn't they send the strongest? Why did they send some? Cheng Tiansong didn't explain. He kept staring into the distance. Time passed by little, and the distance between them was getting closer and closer. The blue wind was howling, and the yellow sand was all over the sky. The magnificent drum sound began to gradually sound. Where is Cheng Tiansong? The excited voice sounded from the depths of the Guxiu army, accompanied by a lightning that shot up into the sky. On your face. The boundless axe light chopped directly from the tower. Kill. At the command. Without any hesitation or much nonsense, the two sides fought directly together. The borderline. It was just the first line of defense of the Great Zhou Divine Sovereign. There was more to come. Therefore, Nanjiang must conquer Shenwei City in order to gain a firm foothold. Therefore, the real important combat power of Nanjiang will be placed on the side of Shenwei City. This makes the pressure on other border lines not so great. At this time, most of the border guards are stationed at the garrison points. They also began to see the Guxiu army, only on the Tiangong mountainside, but still no one can be seen. The wind is still the same, the clouds are still the same. Luo Mu stood on the edge of the mountain and frowned. Although this is not the main battlefield, it is not so bad that no Guxiu will come. Do you know what's going on? Luo Mu looked at Yao Hongxiu next to him. The army of southern Xinjiang will not cover the entire borderline. Sometimes, if you are lucky, you will not encounter war. Yao Hongxiu replied. Lucky? What kind of luck is this? Luo Mu was a little speechless. If no one comes, how can he win military merits? Just now he was imagining how many great Guxiu he could kill this time. Even Zhoujiang. Hearing this, Yao Hongxiu held her forehead. This captain always said something that she couldn't understand. Maybe they were at different realms. No, look, someone is coming. Suddenly, the 1,000-man Captain Wang Zhun shouted loudly. Luo Mu raised his eyebrows. He looked forward. He saw that the distance was still empty. No, there were indeed people, but they were not the Guxiu army he had imagined. There were only 3 figures. They were heading towards Tiangong Mountain. Every step they took could cross hundreds of meters, and their speed was extremely fast. If they continued like this, they would reach Tiangong Mountain in at most 20 breaths. Captain, something seems to be wrong. Yao Hongxiu narrowed her eyes. Although the distance was still far, she already had a bad feeling in her heart. Why do you need to say that? Luo Mu twisted his neck, and the corners of his mouth slowly rose. Although there was no army as he had imagined, there were 3 extraordinary figures. They were far beyond any opponent he had encountered before. When there were only 300 meters left to Tiangong Mountain, the 3 figures stopped. One had a middle-aged face, and there was a faint flash of lightning all over his body. One wore a mask. The other one had an old face, a hunched back, and was standing with a cane in his hand. Is the captain of the left camp of the First Army on this mountain? The middle-aged Gu cultivator spoke slowly. His voice was like thunder, exploding between heaven and earth. The entire defense formation of Tiangong Mountain was rippling. Many soldiers could not stand steadily. They all looked shocked. What kind of cultivation is this? Just the sound has such power. It seems that you have come to find me specially. Hearing this, Luo Mu's face moved slightly, and he walked forward a few steps, looking down at the 3 people not far away. It will be easy if you are here. The middle-aged goo cultivator did not reply. He jumped up directly. A blue goo worm appeared between his eyebrows, and dense lightning appeared. In his hand, a thunder spear appeared. Break! The spear was thrown. It fell on the defense formation of Tiangong Mountain. Boom! The formation shook violently, as if it had encountered an unbearable force. Crack! After about 3 breaths, the formation shattered directly. This scene stunned everyone. This is pioneering realm. Someone took a breath of cold air, and disbelief appeared in his eyes. For a moment, everyone panicked subconsciously. Only the Pitfall Realm can easily break the defensive formation. It's just the Pitfall Realm. It's a general-level existence. Why would he come to a remote base like Tiangong Mountain? He should be attacking Shenwei City now, and not just 1, but 3 Pitfall Realms. What's going on? Captain. Even Yao Hongxiu couldn't calm down at this moment. What are you panicking about? Luo Mu said casually, it's just the Earth-opening realm. Hearing this, Yao Hongxiu was stunned. Sir, do you want to hear what you're talking about? It's just the Earth-opening realm? This is the Earth-opening realm. Although you are very powerful, you are still in the profound core realm. How can you compete with the Earth-opening realm martial artist? Guard Tiangong Mountain well. This captain will be back soon. Luo Mu pointed his toes and jumped down directly. Since the opponent's target is him, he has to take the initiative to go down. Otherwise, these soldiers on the mountain will definitely be affected in vain. Besides, the formation of Tiangong Mountain has been broken, and there is no point in staying there. Boom. When Luo Mu landed, the ground shattered and dust rose. A gust of wind came and slowly dissipated. Nanjiang really thinks highly of me. It actually sent 3 Earth-opening realm masters. Luo Mu said. His eyes became brighter. Intuitively, the 3 of them did not make him feel particularly pressured. They should all be first layer of the earth-breaking realm. The old man felt more pressured. He estimated that he was at the 2nd layer. Even at this level, he could still handle it easily. The superiors said that you are a demon from Chang'e Academy, and you have the true meaning of martial Tao in profound core realm alone. The middle-aged goo cultivator landed and spoke. To correct it, you actually have it in Spirit Sea realm. Luo Mu smiled. Hearing this, the 3 of them testified, and Zhiguang suddenly became solemn. It is not difficult to understand that profound core realm has the true meaning of martial Tao, but Spirit Sea realm has it. Even if it is the true meaning of blood, it is extremely terrifying. If such a person grows up, I can't imagine what will happen in the future. No wonder the superiors sent me here. Wait, the 3 of them suddenly reacted. That's not right. Why doesn't this Great Zhou Divine Sovereign Lieutenant look scared at all? You should know that the 3 of you are all goo cultivators in the Earth-opening realm. It is not something that profound core realm can easily compete with. Boy, you have good courage. At this time, you are still so calm. The middle-aged goo cultivator spoke with cold eyes. Why? Is someone protecting you? At the same time, his eyes swept around. 0. There is a saying in Great Zhou Divine Sovereign that protects Taoists, but only the most evil disciples are worthy of it. Before coming, the information was wrong, and I thought he was just a relatively good academy disciple, but now it seems that he is extraordinary. Such a person. The academy is very likely to have one. Yes, of course there is, but he doesn't need to take action to deal with you 3. Luo Mu put his right hand on the hilt of the knife at his waist. How brave! Hearing this, the eyes of the 3 Gu Xiu instantly turned extremely cold. Since stepping into the profound realm, I have never been so underestimated by a profound core realm. Do you really think you can easily cross the realm? The masked Gu Xiu stepped forward. There seemed to be a whimpering sound around him. Young and frivolous, you don't know how high the sky is and how deep the earth is. The old Gu Xiu smashed the ground with his cane. Those who can cultivate to the profound realm are basically talented people. How could they be defeated by people who crossed the realm or even the realm of the Great Realm? On Tiangong Mountain, hearing Luo Mu's words, many soldiers of the left camp also took a breath of cold air. The captain is too arrogant. The opponent is at the earth-opening realm. He said these few words without taking them seriously at all. Yao Hongxiu did not react. She looked at Luo Mu's back, and her eyes gradually brightened. Recalling the time she spent with Luo Mu. Luo Mu is not an arrogant person. He dared to say that. Obviously he had the confidence, just like the time when he attacked the clam tribe. Perhaps the captain has become stronger again. Even if he can't defeat the pity realm, he may be able to draw with him. Yao Hongxiu thought to herself. We will know after the fight. Luo Mu took a deep breath, and a strong fighting spirit appeared in his eyes. 3 pity realms. This is unprecedented. Come. Luo Mu glanced at the 3 people. The meaning was self-evident. That is, go together. To kill you, why do we need 3 people? Don't think too highly of yourself. The middle-aged Guxiao took a step forward. The goo worm at the center of his eyebrows began to emit lightning. This was the thunder pattern worm. Among the goo worms in southern Xinjiang, the powerful goo worm ranked at the top was born with the power of thunder. Lei Ji, hurry up and chop off this kid's head. I'm very unhappy now. The old Guxiao snorted. Don't worry, I will kill him in at most 10 moves. The middle-aged Guxiao's face showed confidence. Thunder pattern technique, destroy the black spear. The middle-aged Guxiao raised his right hand, and a dark thunder spear appeared in his palm, which was far more powerful than the one just now. Obviously, the middle-aged Guxiao was not careless. Instead, he used all his strength. No one wanted to capsize in the gutter. Die. The middle-aged Guxiao turned into lightning and came to Luo Mu in almost an instant. He seemed to have seen Luo the scene of Mu being shot through the chest by him. Boy, isn't your mouth very arrogant? How come you can't even react to a single blow? A smile appeared on the middle-aged man's face. But the next second, boom, an unimaginable terrifying pressure suddenly descended. It was as if millions of mountains were pressing on his shoulders. Bang! The middle-aged man knelt directly on the ground. His knees were deeply embedded in the grass. The other 2 Guxiao were far away, so the impact was not so exaggerated. But they were also like being stuck in a quagmire, and their movements were slow. What's going on? The middle-aged Guxiao was confused. Why did he kneel down? There is such a terrible pressure. Where did it come from? Boom. Almost the moment the thought fell, the ground behind Luo Mu shook, and a giant sword that almost penetrated the sky and the earth slowly emerged. The whole body is substantial, the most magnificent work of art in the world, flashing a beautiful and dangerous light. How is it possible? The middle-aged Guxiao lost his voice, and an expression of disbelief appeared on his face. The 2 people in the distance were the same, and they were stunned for a moment. This is blade intent, and it is a fully materialized blade intent. And this level of blade intent, it is already 100% perfect. True intent is exclusive to the earth-opening realm. It is very rare to see it in the profound core realm martial artist. Not to mention the perfect level. The 3 of them thought they had seen it wrong and were under an illusion, but they rubbed their eyes hard and found that it was real. It is really 100% perfect. After practicing to the earth-opening realm, with the metamorphosed goo worm, ordinary true intent, even if it is 30% or 40%, it is difficult to exert pressure on them. But now, this is the perfect level. At this moment, the 3 finally understood why the superiors sent them 3 earth-opening realm to deal with a small Xiandan. They also finally understood why this boy was still calm and composed when facing them, without any panic. The profound core realm alone has such a terrifying foundation. What will happen in the future? Spirit partitioning? Then you should die. An indifferent voice sounded in his ears. The middle-aged Guxiao suddenly woke up as if from a dream, but there was only a snow-like knife light in front of him. Then the world spun around, seeing the 2 Guxiao not far away. You can read more daily new novels on fictionzone.net. Both sites share the same login details, so you don't need to sign up again. Chapter 73. With just 1 knife, a goo cultivator of the earth-breaking realm was beheaded and laid on the ground. Although there were many factors involved, such as the spirit partitioning of this goo cultivator, it was still shocking. Gurgle. The human flesh was still rolling, until a knife was inserted into the center of his brow. A large number of killing curses directly tore the goo insect apart. Between heaven and earth, it had become extremely peaceful. Only the sound of the whistling blue wind remained. Tiangong Mountain was stunned. Everyone opened their mouths wide. God knows what they saw. The earth-breaking realm expert who claimed to be solved within 10 moves was beheaded by his own captain with 1 knife. Is this the so-called earth-breaking realm? It is no different from himself. Anyway, facing the captain, he will die with 1 knife. Of course, what shocked them the most was the terrifying blade intent that seemed to penetrate the sky and the earth. 100%. Yao Hongxiu clenched her hands, and her beautiful face was full of shock. I remember that it was only 50% a month and a half ago. Now it is 100% complete? Isn't this speed of improvement too exaggerated? You know, this is the true meaning of martial Tao. Many generals in the opening realm cannot have the true meaning level, and Luo Mu just... Xiandan, 940. After a while, Yao Hongxiu's soft lips only uttered these two words. The wind blew the grass, raising patches of green waves. The masked Gu Xiu and the old Gu Xiu were completely frozen in place. It was not until they saw the gradually dimming eyes of the middle-aged Gu Xiu that they came back to their senses. Both of them subconsciously took a step back. Shame immediately appeared on their faces. A dignified pity realm was actually scared away by a profound core realm. OJ, you used the Holy Spirit killing blade art to kill a pity realm first layer Gu Xiu, triggering a critical hit and gaining 4 times the reward. In his mind, the system's prompt sounded. Kakaka. The spirit knife in his hand suddenly vibrated. 40 times. Equivalent to 40 pity realm martial artists. Far from the profound core realm. So the spirit knife brought an unprecedented amount of death and negative emotions. Visible to the naked eye. The color of the spirit knife became deeper. You can even gradually feel a new breath appearing. Full of violence, mania, and bloodthirstiness. Xialing. Luo Mu raised his eyebrows slightly. As expected of the pity realm, just killing one has such a big improvement. If you kill the 2 in front of you, maybe you can give birth to a Xialing. Next, it's your turn. Luo Mu made a knife flower and looked at the 2 Gu cultivators in the earth-breaking realm not far away. He began to emit an almost overwhelming murderous aura. To be precise, it was the knife in his hand. The eyes of the 2 people shrank suddenly. I didn't notice it just now, but now that I carefully sense it, my back feels a little cold. It is completely a human killing weapon. There seems to be an endless killing curse roaring inside it. Damn it. The 2 people's hearts are completely numb at this moment. Only profound core realm. It has 100% blade intent. There is such a terrifying killing weapon. It stands to reason that such a killing weapon cannot be mastered by a profound core realm, unless it is raised by him. To sum up, this boy's strength is already comparable to that of the earth-breaking realm 3rd layer. What should we do? The masked Gu cultivator looked at the old Gu cultivator. Let's fight. Lei Ji was distracted and got too close, so he was killed. If we deal with it carefully, we may have a chance to win. The old Gu cultivator took a deep breath. A raging fire began to burn all over his body. Okay. The masked Gu cultivator nodded. If he turned around and ran, it would be too embarrassing, and this was also a task that had to be completed according to the orders from the superiors. Crack. The moment the words fell, the masked Gu cultivator's back bulged outward, and his translucent arms stretched out. The wind was whistling all around. Boy, Lei Ji just died because of carelessness. The old Gu cultivator was covered with red Gu insects, densely packed, spewing flames. The 2 of them didn't know what secret method they used. The effect of the true meaning pressure was reduced a lot. It was probably some kind of Gu god's glory. After all, the land under their feet was still in southern Xinjiang. Too much talk. Luo Mu was the first to draw his sword. He arrived in front of the old Gu Xiu almost instantly, after the fleeting glimpse of the shadows. The speed seemed to have changed qualitatively, and they were only 100 meters apart, not even a blink of an eye. So fast. The old Gu Xiu's pupil shrank suddenly. It seemed that he didn't expect Luo Mu to have such a terrifying speed. But as a dignified 2nd layer of the earth-opening realm, his body had at least transformed twice, and even the most ordinary transformation had a very high reaction ability, and he barely dodged it. But his left hand was still cut off directly. Hee. I don't know if it was an illusion. The old Gu Xiu only felt that there seemed to be a strange laugh in the blade, and then dense and strange black words began to rush into his body along the wound. Not good. The old Gu Xiu's face changed instantly. Although it was not clear what it was similar to a curse, very difficult to deal with, not only madly devouring his vitality, but also eroding his spirit. Luo Mu was just about to take advantage of the victory and attack again. There was a strong wind behind him. The masked cultivator attacked directly. His speed was also very fast, not inferior to Luo Mu's fleeting light step. E-clan. The one fused was Wind King Insect, a Gu worm specializing in speed. Luo Mu did not choose to turn around to resist, but continued to chop at the old Meng Xiu, looking for death. Sensing Luo Mu's choice, the masked Gu cultivator's eyes turned cold, and his hands had turned into Gu worm-like claws, grabbing Luo Mu's neck directly. If this attack hits, not to mention ordinary Xiandan, even the 1st layer of the earth-breaking realm will be seriously injured. However, when they touched, but the sound of metal clashing sounded. The masked Gu cultivator's pupil shrank suddenly. He seemed to be unable to believe what he saw. That was Gongqi. This boy actually had Gongqi, and his Gongqi could actually block his attack. This can only be done by practicing the Earth-rank high-grade body refining technique. Buzz. Luo Mu's body continued to rise. He turned around and was already 8 feet tall. The whole body was bright and burning with flames, like a golden armored god from ancient times. Cut. Luo Mu did not hesitate at all, and continued to chop at the old Gushou. Puff. The old Gushou was affected by the killing curse and had no time to dodge. He was directly cut in half. Luo Mu turned around immediately. With his empty left hand, he grabbed the claws of the masked Gushou. The golden eyes, like the blazing sun, showed a cold luster. Did you enjoy the fight just now? You. The masked Gushou's face changed drastically. There was already a chill in his heart. What the hell is this monster? In addition to the true meaning, he also has such terrifying attainments in attack, body refinement, and speed. He has definitely cultivated to the Earth-rank high-grade level, and they are all perfect. It can be said that he has reached the limit of what a profound core realm martial artist can do. No weaknesses. Swish. The knife light slashed. The masked Gushou gritted his teeth and actually took the initiative to cut off his left arm, but was still hit in the chest by Luo Mu. He just retreated to the ground, and the wound was not shallow. He was not seriously injured immediately and fled to the distance. Don't abandon me. The old Gushou shouted loudly. Despair appeared in his eyes. He was also careless. Who would have thought that this boy's body speed was so exaggerated? But in an instant, he was in front of him. And the knife was also extremely strange. It contained a curse. It kept devouring his body and spirit. It was difficult to suppress. In just 2 or 3 breaths, he had begun to blur his consciousness. Everyone flees when disaster strikes. Luo Mu raised his lips slightly, and then cut off the head of the old Gu cultivator with a knife and put it into the storage ring. Of course, he did not forget the one from the middle-aged Gu cultivator. He picked them up together. These are all military merits. Ding! You used the Holy Spirit killing knife art to kill a second-layer Gu cultivator in the earth-breaking realm, triggering a critical hit and gaining 80 times the reward. In his mind, a prompt sounded. Kakaka. The spirit knife vibrated again, and it was a crazy vibration, far more than any previous time. Dense ripples appeared on the surface, like flowing water, constantly surging. Finally, all the ripples suddenly gathered together. In the center of the blade, it turned into a line. Or rather, a line with eyelashes. Luo Mu held the knife in front of his eyes. Huh. He clearly saw the line move, like eyes. Is it finally coming? Luo Mu was surprised. Once the evil spirit is born, the killing aura is no longer a dead thing. It will become more terrifying, and the evil spirit can grow infinitely. There is no upper limit. It seems to be a little short. Luo Mu saw the line move several times, but it still failed to expand. And he did not sense the consciousness of the evil spirit. Everything is just beginning. More killing is needed. Luo Mu put down the knife. He looked at the direction where the masked Gushou fled. Even though this Gushou seemed to specialize in speed, he could not run far after being hit by him, and the killing curse entered his body. At his current speed, he is absolutely self-righteous. A fleeting glimpse. Luo Mu disappeared in an instant. Tiangong Mountain. There was silence, and all the soldiers were still immersed in shock. Those were 3 powerful people in the opening Earth realm, but in front of the captain, they were like paper, and they broke at the touch. It only took a few breaths. 2 dead, 1 escaped. When did the opening Earth realm become so rubbish? In the past, it was a realm that he was extremely in awe of and longed to reach. Inhuman. Captain Wang Jin swallowed his saliva and murmured. Chapter 74. Damn it! Damn it! How can there be such a monster in the world? The masked Gushou cursed while running fast. Just the profound core realm, but it has the martial Dao foundation that many pity realm can't have, and it is impeccable in all aspects. If he reaches the pity realm in the future, and then a perfect transformation, how exaggerated will his strength be? No wonder the higher-ups want 3 pity realm to deal with it, but it's still underestimated. The masked Gushou gritted his teeth. If he wants to kill this kid, he must be above the 4th layer of the pity realm, or he must be the best of the 1st or 2nd armies of the pity realm. But this kind of combat power, all of them are placed in Shenwei City. He and the other 2 are just ordinary transformations. As if sensing something, the masked Gushou subconsciously looked back. The pupil shrank suddenly, because he saw a Taoist shadow chasing him. It was the human race captain. ++. The masked Guxiu was so scared that his soul was scared. He fled more desperately, but he needed to suppress the strange curse that was spreading in his body, so he couldn't speed up at all. He could only watch the distance between them getting closer and closer. We're here. Almost there. It was impossible for him to escape to a place without help. So the direction he chose was the main battlefield between Great Zhou Divine Sovereign and Nanjiang. Xinwei City. Just cross the mountain in front. You're there. At this time, the battlefield of Xinwei City. It was almost over. This battle ended very quickly, far more than before. Although Nanjiang came with great momentum, its real strength was far inferior to that of the Xinwei army, or the Guxiu army in Nanjiang. It was just a large number, and there were very few real strong ones. So after losing most of their men, the southern Xinjiang side began to retreat. Of course, they did not forget to take the bodies of their compatriots back with them and kept storing them in storage devices when they retreated. The face was numb. In midair, a lightning fell fiercely and hit the grass 1,000 meters away from Xinwei City. Changtiansong, you have really become stronger again. A Taoist figure crawled out of the deep pit. He was sturdy. He was nearly 10 meters tall. The goo worm at the center of his eyebrows was extremely huge, almost covering his entire face, and the rich lightning was filled. Lei Nu, take your mob and get out of here. Changtiansong stood in midair. He was shirtless. He held a battle axe in each hand, and his breath was as terrifying as the abyss, shaking the surrounding void. Boom, boom, boom. One after another, figures fell. Most of them were from the southern Xinjiang side, smashed into the grass, standing up with an unwilling look. The breath of two of them was comparable to that of Lei Ran. One has countless wings on his back, and the other is burning with flames. Next time we meet, I will kill you. Both of them threatened their opponents. Tisk, I'll wait for you. Two generals appeared behind Changtiansong. One held a feather fan, and the other had a sword tied to his waist. That's it. The invasion of southern Xinjiang ended this time. They came and left in a hurry. Over the years, southern Xinjiang has really become worse and worse. They called it attacking the Great Zhou Divine Sovereign and gaining new land. But in fact, the Confucian general saw through it today. He finally understood what Changtiansong said before. Weak people were sent here. Boom. Just when the two armies were about to retreat, in the far distance on the left, a mountain was directly chopped into pieces by the terrifying sword light. There was also an endless pressure sweeping over. There was a figure constantly shuttling through the rubble, and it was a Nanjiang Guxiu, and judging from his aura, he was at the earth-opening realm, and behind him was a golden giant, holding the world-destroying demonic knife. He chased at a terrifying speed, with an extremely strong blade intent surging all over his body. The cultivation level was Profound Core Realm. Grand Elder, save me. The masked Guxiu saw the Guxiu army in the distance, especially the familiar figure, and his eyes showed a strong hope. After running for so long, finally arrived. But at this moment, a cold voice sounded like a worm in the tarsal bone in his ears. Die. He turned back subconsciously, but there was a golden light above his head, like a falling meteor, and it was Luo Mu leaping over. Boom. The masked Guxiu was stepped into the grass by Luo Mu. The earth shook, and countless cracks sprouted, spreading rapidly in all directions. Whoosh! A gust of wind came and blew away the dust. It also allowed everyone to see the scene. The golden giant had returned to his original appearance. He was a young man with a cold face, wearing a lieutenant's armor. He picked up the Guxiu, and then cut off his head skillfully. In an instant, the world was silent. Everyone was stunned. It seemed that they had not recovered from what was happening in front of them. A dignified pity realm was chased by a Xiandan? He didn't even escape in the end. After a brief confusion, the sound of sucking in cold air suddenly came one after another. F***K. Am I hallucinating? The pity realm is being hunted by the profound core realm? What a joke. For the world, the pity realm is already the peak of cultivation, a true powerhouse. Xiandan can't compare to pity at all. If pity moves his finger, Xiandan might die on the spot. But what happened today overturned their cognition. A pity realm died like a dog, and in the end he couldn't even save his head. F***K. Who the hell is this? He doesn't look like a human at all. He's wearing a lieutenant's uniform. He's the lieutenant of our Xinwei army. As soon as these words came out, there was an uproar, and everyone became extremely excited. Captain? Which battalion? He's too powerful. It seems to be the left battalion. Hiss. Isn't that the first in the academy this term, the new captain? Are the academy disciples so powerful now? On the grass, Luo Mu put his head into the storage ring with satisfaction. He can really run. He was cursed by his killing path, but he could still run for so long. If he hadn't hit him with the knife before, he would basically be unable to catch up. After all, his goo worms are specialized in speed. Sheath the knife. Luo Mu raised his eyebrows. Because he was immersed in the pursuit, he didn't pay attention to where he ran to. Now he looked up, his pupils moved slightly. How did he run to the main battlefield? On one side was the army of goo cultivators in Nanjiang, and on the other side was the Shenwei army. And he happened to be in the middle. Without any hesitation, Luo Mu retreated directly towards the direction of the Divine Might army. He had just killed a goo cultivator of the earth-breaking realm in front of Nanjiang. Nanjiang would definitely not be able to hold back and attack him. Although he was strong now, he was still in the profound core realm after all. He could only kill some of the first and second layers, and no higher. On the Nanjiang side, there must be a ninth layer of the earth-breaking realm. As expected, almost the moment the thought fell, several Taoist figures rushed over from the Nanjiang side. They were all generals and top generals, but in mid-air. Cheng Tiansong and his men had already anticipated this and responded directly. Boom. After a brief fight, both sides retreated again. Good boy, I haven't seen you for 2 months, but you have grown to this level now. Shindan killing the earth. Cheng Tiansong patted Luo Mu's shoulder, his eyes showing surprise, and then he seemed to have discovered something. His pupils suddenly shrank, and he looked unbelievable. Wait, your blade intent. Although Luo Mu did not release it deliberately, it was still surrounded by it. And with Cheng Tiansong's cultivation, he could naturally distinguish it. 100% done. Hearing this, many generals behind him also took a breath of cold air. 100%. How is it possible? This Luo Mu is only profound core realm. You know, many generals are not even 100%, not even 80% or 90%. The sound spread farther and farther, and gradually everyone heard it. Did I hear wrong? 100% blade intent? How is it possible? I can't believe it either, but this is what the marshal said. How can the marshal's words be false? Besides, if there is no 100% blade intent, how can profound core realm so easily cross the level and kill the earth-opening realm? XD. Everyone suddenly understood. The gap between the great realms is like the difference between the world and the profound core realm. The gap is even bigger. Only a very high level of true meaning can do it. Lucky luck. Luo Mu coughed lightly. When these millions of people talked, the sound was really like a wave. Ha ha ha. No need to be modest. You kid. You are really a monster. Cheng Tiansong laughed with satisfaction. Then his smile faded. His eyes looked coldly at Nanjiang. Why don't you get out? The land of Nanjiang is further back. It is very difficult to kill these goo cultivators, so they can only warn them. The top goo cultivators in the lead looked at Luo Mu coldly, and they naturally recognized him at this moment. It was the captain of the left camp that the Red Moon Demon cult asked them to eliminate. Unexpectedly, it was much more difficult than they expected. Profound core realm can kill the earth-opening realm, which is really exaggerated. Especially the blade intent lingering on his body. If I am not mistaken, it is the realm of 10th completion. The road that the earth-opening realm has not yet completed, profound core realm has already been completed. It is really unimaginable. No wonder the Red Moon Demon cult came to ask them for help. It's a pity that they still failed. If they didn't kill him today, they would be in trouble in the future. Let's go. Retracting their gaze, the southern Xinjiang army turned around and left. With Cheng Tiansong protecting him, no one can sneak attack this kid. We won. The excited call suddenly resounded through the sky. For ordinary soldiers, or many middle-level officers, war is war, and winning is something to be happy about. Shenwei City, a big family with plaques and mansions. Not only are the seats full, but even many generals would rather stand and squeeze in. One by one, they all looked at the young man in the last position on the right. Even the generals stood. A mere lieutenant can have a seat. It is really beyond the rules. But no one in the hall raised any objections. Who made this lieutenant? Luo Mu. Now in the entire Shenwei army, who doesn't know the word Luo Mu? Profound core realm treated pity realm like a dog, and even killed him in front of Nanjiang. Such deeds can be said to be something that every Great Zhou Divine Sovereign martial artist dared not dream of. But now it has become a reality. Luo Mu pinched his eyebrows. This feeling of being the center of attention is not very good. He still likes to practice quietly alone. Be a diligent and hard-working handsome man. Don't listen to the outside world. Of course, this is just a thought. Martial Dao practice is about fighting. If you don't fight, how can you get good things? With this great victory, there will be no worries in the next 3 years. Even if it is further away, Nanjiang will not be too threatening. Chang Tiansong stood with his hands behind his back and said slowly, according to the transfer order, 1/3 of the Divine Power Army will be transferred to the West. The West? Hearing this, many generals immediately retracted their gazes and looked at Chang Tiansong. To the east of the Great Zhou Divine Sovereign is the vast open sea. To the south is the land of witchcraft in the southern border. As for the west and the north, it is the human race dynasty similar to the Great Zhou Divine Sovereign. We will discuss the specifics later. Let's go down to tidy up the battlefield and count the casualties first. Chang Tiansong shook his head. Yes. Many generals left the hall. Luo Mu, you stay for a while. Chang Tiansong called Luo Mu, who was about to leave. Marshal. Luo Mu bowed. Privately, there is no need to be so serious. Strictly speaking, it's okay for you to call me senior brother. I am only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8 years older than you. Chang Tiansong raised his hands and counted. Senior brother? Luo Mu was stunned. If I shout, what will I do if I run into Cheng Qingman in the future? Let's talk about our own things. I asked you to stay because I need to inform you of something, Chang Tiansong said. What is it? There is news from the academy. You can prepare to go back these days, Chang Tiansong said with a smile. Although there are still more than 20 days before the opening of the Mountain and Sea Secret Realm, it will take some time to rush to the imperial capital. 803 hearing this, Luo Mu's eyes suddenly brightened. Are they finally going to set off? He has reached the peak of the profound core realm. As long as he has spiritual objects, he can enter the profound realm at any time. But the top spiritual objects are only available in the sea realm. In addition, at this point, Chang Tiansong narrowed his eyes. Before entering the secret realm, the 7 major academies of this dynasty will have a competition. Luo Mu raised his eyebrows slightly. Why is there another competition? I have never heard the palace master or the great elders say this before. Each academy used to have 30 places, but this time, it's different from the past. Secret Realm has experienced a big change and has also generated great benefits, so the top-ranked academies can't sit still and want to redetermine the quota through competition. After all, the more places, the more benefits you can get, Chang Tiansong said. I see. Luo Mu nodded slightly. In the past, the benefits of Mountain and Sea Secret Realm were not enough to make the 7 academies fight for it, but now, the benefits contained in it are already big enough. The specific situation, the elder will tell you after returning. I don't know much, so I won't say it. Chang Tiansong looked at Luo Mu. A smile appeared on his face. This trip to the imperial capital, perform well, let the arrogant blood nobles in the imperial capital forgive us for 10 times. The knife of the 7 counties of Chang'e. I don't know the strength of the monsters in other academies, Luo Mu asked subconsciously. Don't worry, you may not know how strong you are now. Among the young generations of the past and present, no one can have such a deep martial Dao background at your age. I'm telling you this, with your current strength, killing them is like killing dogs. Chang Tiansong grinned. Only a few people may be able to compete with you, but they're just competing. Even if the blood nobles can inherit the power of their predecessors, but it is not their own after all. For example, at the same level of true meaning, 100% against 100%, he can't be your opponent, because he can't play perfectly, just borrowing. I understand. Luo Mu nodded slightly. He was not worried, but just asked to get confirmation. After all, he had practiced for so long. He had reached the limit in all aspects, so he had some self-awareness. So in the battle of the academy, there is no need to hold back, and we should dampen the spirit of those nobles. It would be best if they were all beaten into pigs. Chang Tiansong's eyes were cold. It was obvious. He had been bullied by the nobles. He still remembered it vividly today. Okay. Luo Mu smiled slightly. Hey, I naturally believe you. It's time to let those people in the imperial capital, who only see the world from a well, know that there are always people outside the world. Chang Tiansong patted Luo Mu's shoulder. Okay, go down and prepare. Besides, you killed 3 people in the opening realm this time, which is enough for a first-class military merit. I will send someone to serve immediately. I guess by the time you arrive in the imperial capital, the conferred Marquis's imperial edict will have come down. By the way, His Royal Highness the 9th Prince, he would be very happy to hear about your deeds on the front line. You can read more daily new novels on fictionzone.net. Both sites shared the same login details, so you don't need to sign up again. Chapter 75. Now the Chengal lineage stands on the side of the 9th prince. Then all the achievements can make the 9th prince more important in the court. 9th prince? Luo Mu nodded. Without the 9th prince, even if he killed 3 people in the opening realm, he could not confer Marquis. After all, first-class military merit is only the minimum requirement. In the huge Shenwei army, many generals have not conferred Marquis. The world is like this. Rules are made for mediocre people, and when you perform well enough, you can transcend some of the rules. After chatting for a few more words, Luo Mu left. Only Cheng Tiansong was left, staying in the hall, looking at Luo Mu's back, whispering softly, "Young people are formidable." Back to Tiangong Mountain. The 5,000 people in the left camp still maintained a garrison state. Captain. Seeing Luo Mu, everyone's faces suddenly showed fanaticism, now in their hearts. Luo Mu's status is not much different from the legendary martial god, who can kill a profound core realm cultivator like a dog in the profound core realm. Anyway, they have never seen it. After I left, there should be no Gu cultivators coming, right? Luo Mu waved his hand casually. No. Yao Hongxiu stepped forward, her beautiful eyes shining. That's good. Luo Mu nodded. I will leave tomorrow, and you will be in charge of the left camp temporarily. Hearing this, the scene was quiet, and everyone's eyes were complicated. Although it is common for a lieutenant to be transferred, but now Luo Mu has an unimaginable status in their hearts. I really don't want to change a lieutenant. It's not a transfer, but I have other things to do. Feeling that the mood of the entire camp was instantly low, Luo Mu smiled and explained. If he succeeds and conferred Marquis in the future, he will also have his own team. Zhuorying is not bad. Maybe he can be trained. Hearing this, everyone's face suddenly showed joy. It turned out that it was not a transfer. That's good. That's good. After saying that, Luo Mu returned to his own tent. After killing the masked Gu Xiu, he got 100 times critical hit. The evil spirit in the knife itself was only 1 step away. Now it has naturally been successfully condensed. It's just that the situation was not right at that time. He didn't have the opportunity to check it in the first time. Swish. Luo Mu drew his sword out of the sheath. The strong murderous aura immediately filled the entire tent, even attacking the formation, unwilling to be imprisoned, unwilling to be bound. Luo Mu stared at the blade. Huh. The line moved slightly, and then suddenly opened. It was a blood-red eye. It was full of violence, resentment, jealousy, cruelty, and other emotions. It seemed to contain all the negativity in the world. If a person with a weak will see this eye, his spirit will be polluted and fall into endless fear. Is this the evil spirit? As the master of the knife, Luo Mu would not be affected, but he was still a little frightened. At this moment, he could feel that a consciousness had been nurtured in the blade. It's just that this consciousness is still very hazy. It belongs to the stage of initial spiritual wisdom. Huh. The blood-red eyes turned around and closed again. Interesting. Luo Mu nodded with satisfaction. The spirit sword now is completely different from the beginning, and it can even be said that it has nothing to do with the original one. For killing Saber Chi, no, now it should be called the evil spirit, and it is completely devoured by the evil spirit. What is held in the hand is not a sword. It is the evil spirit in the sword. If you want the evil spirit to grow up, you have to kill more. The sword was sheathed, and the murderous aura in the tent gradually disappeared, and calm was restored. Although the war in southern Xinjiang has ended, and it seems that there is no opportunity for large-scale killing, he is different from ordinary people and does not need to kill so many people. A high critical hit is enough. So there is no problem in letting the evil spirit continue to grow. The dynasty has everything Demon Dao. Kacha. Suddenly, a crisp sound attracted Luo Mu's attention. He looked at the sword in his hand, drew the sword out of the sheath again, and his brows were raised because he saw a crack on the blade. Although it is very subtle, but it does exist. It seems that I have to find a higher quality blade blank. Luo Mu's eyes moved slightly. After the evil spirit was born, the quality of the sword itself was not good enough. It could not withstand the power of the evil spirit. Let's talk about it after we go back. Luo Mu shook his head. Then he lay back. He hadn't had a good rest for too long. Just relax today. The next day, a huge monster landed on Tiangong Mountain. It was a military monster that Cheng Tiansong prepared for Luo Mu. Combat power was ordinary, but it won in speed. It was called Finjiunying. It was up to level 4, equivalent to a human race profound core realm. The left camp is handed over to you. Luo Mu jumped onto the eagle's back. His eyes turned to Yao Hongxiu. Please rest assured, sir. I will definitely handle the affairs of the camp well, and there will be absolutely no mistakes. Yao Hongxiu patted her plump chest and promised. That's good. Luo Mu nodded. Then, in the reluctant eyes of the crowd, the Feng Yun eagle flapped its wings, soared into the sky, sank into the clear sky, and disappeared. I don't know when we will meet again. Yao Hongxiu retracted her gaze and said softly. And in Shenwei City, Chang Tiansong, who was discussing, seemed to have sensed something, raised his head slightly, and his eyes seemed to penetrate the roof and look at the sky. Cry. The loud eagle cry resounded in all directions. After a day of traveling, Luo Mu finally returned to Changle Academy. This familiar place. So this is the boxing way, with great opening and closing, containing the invincible momentum of the 8 wildernesses. One punch to conquer the world. Luo Mu stayed on the eagle's back and nodded slightly. Even if it was just one day, he didn't waste it. He has learned a lot in studying the boxing way now. If this goes on, he will soon be able to use the last piece of boxing stone to practice boxing. The boxing stone is still placed in a special jade box. As long as it is not taken out for use, its state of mind will not dissipate so quickly. So until now, it is still well preserved. Closed the secret book in his hand. Luo Mu jumped off the eagle's back, but he saw the elder, who was already waiting in the academy square. Elder. Luo Mu bowed slightly. Good, good. The elder immediately stepped forward. At this moment, he naturally knew what happened on the border. In just over 2 months, the Xiandan slashed the earth, and his blade intent was also raised to a terrifying 100% state. At this age, he has such combat power, which is really unprecedented. As long as he grows up steadily, how far he can go in the future is simply unimaginable. For this reason, the Academy added another Taoist protector for Luo Mu. You should know that the people arranged by the Academy are all powerful, and strong people of this level have no energy to protect others. They themselves are rare monsters in the world. But now 2 powerful people have awakened and divided their minds to protect Luo Mu's safety. It can be seen that the Academy attaches great importance to it. When do we set off? Luo Mu asked. 4 days later, go to Anye County first. There is a teleportation array there, which can greatly reduce our travel time. If we arrive in the imperial capital earlier, you can also adapt earlier. The elder said. Teleportation array? Luo Mu raised his eyebrows slightly. I have heard of teleportation in the void, but I have never had the opportunity to see it, because the cost of teleporting once is particularly exaggerated. Only big forces can afford it. You should have heard about the news about the secret realm from Chang Tiansong. The elder gestured to Luo Mu to walk while talking. Yes. Luo Mu nodded. To be honest, I don't know much about the secret realm now. I will introduce it to you. The elder stroked his white beard. Although the mountain and sea secret realm is not the most resource-rich and most apex-level secret realm in our Great Zhou Divine Sovereign, it is extremely important because it can produce spiritual objects. The mountain and sea secret realm is very large and is divided into 2 parts, the inner and outer. The inner realm has always been shrouded in fog and cannot be entered, while the outer realm is the range of activities for all participants. But this time, the clouds of the realm have dissipated. Speaking of this, the elder took a deep breath, and his eyes became bright. The inner realm has never been set foot in, which means that the resources are extremely abundant. There are even many top-level spiritual objects, far exceeding the outer realm. In the realm of opening up the earth, the body has 9 transformations. Everyone wants to use top-level spiritual objects every time they transform to achieve perfect transformation. But there are too few top-level spiritual objects, and it is impossible to do it. Many monsters may not even have a top-level spiritual object, so this time, it is a rare opportunity. Hearing this, Luo Mu's eyes also became hot. Martial Tao practice can be perfect, naturally want to pursue perfection. The improvement brought by a perfect transformation is already very exaggerated. What if it is 9 perfect transformations? Is there anyone in the world who can achieve 9 perfect transformations? Thinking of this, Luo Mu asked subconsciously. It only exists in the distant history. The elder shook his head. Of course it doesn't exist today. It's very rare to be able to transform perfectly twice. It is said that after 9 perfect transformations, the body will reach an extremely terrifying level. Call it divine body. Divine body. These 2 short words have unimaginable weight. Divine body. Luo Mu's eyes were as bright as torches. With the critical hit, he might have a chance to attack Divine Body. We've gone off topic. The elder's face became serious, and because of this incident, the top-ranked academies are no longer willing to share the quota to enter Secret Realm. 7 Palaces Competition. Luo Mu spoke. The elder was not surprised. Luo Mu knew that Chengtiansong must have said it in advance. For the so-called relative fairness, the Black and White Academy has formulated many rules, such as each academy has a minimum of 10 quotas at the beginning. If a disciple in the palace ranks first, he can directly get a bonus of 50 quotas. There are many more. In short, under the best-case scenario, a school official can finally get the opportunity to get nearly 80 quotas. 80. Luo Mu was a little shocked. This is almost 3 times the original number. It's fair, but it's tailor-made for them, the good ones. The elder smiled coldly, but there's nothing to say about this. Martial Tao practice itself is strength first, and the strong are naturally qualified to have more and better things. But this time, we have you in Shangle Academy. I'm afraid we will be the biggest beneficiary. At this point, a smile appeared on the elder's face. With Luo Mu's current strength, there is no opponent among the monsters of other academies in this session, and it is completely crushing. Even the monsters of the previous session, or even the previous session, can't reach it. The true meaning of 100% perfection, who can have such attainments in profound core realm. Take these and take a look when you have time. The elder suddenly took out several jade slips and stuffed them into Luo Mu's hands. What is this? Luo Mu was puzzled. Information on the apex level monsters in each university palace. Only by knowing yourself and the enemy can you fight 100 battles without danger. The elder said with a smile, your opponents are not only this class, but also the previous class, and even earlier. Hearing this, Luo Mu raised his eyebrows slightly. The previous class? Shouldn't these monsters have already stepped into the realm of opening up the earth? Well, these monsters have fierce hearts and are unwilling to use ordinary spiritual objects to break through, so they have been waiting. It is said that the longest one has waited for nearly 20 years, the elder said. So that's it. Luo Mu nodded, and then he was shocked. 20 years. This is really patient. The physical body phenomenon will only occur when it transforms for the first time. So if you want a better phenomenon, you can only wait, otherwise there will be no more in the future. Therefore, the strength of this group of people is extraordinary, and there may even be. Chapter 76. Some changes have been made at the end of the previous article, which is harmless. There may even be people with extremely high levels of true meaning, such as 90%, but not 100%, the elder said. Why is that? Luo Mu was surprised. It stands to reason that these people have already completed their cultivation a long time ago, so the next time will definitely be spent on improving the foundation of martial Tao. For example, the true meaning of martial Tao. Each of them is a monster, and they can also inherit the power of their predecessors. It is possible that they can step into the realm of 100%. Take this opportunity to tell you about the situation of bloodline martial artist. The elder began to talk. The advantage of bloodline martial artist is that they can develop bloodline and inherit the power of their predecessors, so that they can easily obtain what we have painstakingly studied. But there is also a limitation. If a bloodline person focuses on developing bloodline, then in the end he will not surpass his ancestors of the same period. As soon as this was said, Luo Mu immediately understood. Bloodline comes from ancestors. If you immerse yourself in the inheritance and use of bloodline power, then your upper limit is your ancestors. It is impossible to exceed it, whether it is now or in the future. It seems that bloodline is not a big deal, but it is not. As long as the concentration of bloodline martial artist is not too low, it will definitely reach a very high level in the future, because the ancestors have paved the way. As for ordinary martial artists, everything is unknown. So for a dynasty, bloodline martial artist is still the mainstay. And in the history of our Great Zhou Divine Sovereign, no one can have 100% of the true meaning in profound core realm. You are the first. The elder looked at Luo Mu. His eyes and hands were full of admiration. At the same time, he was also glad that such a leader came from his own academy. With the understanding of martial Tao and profound core realm, it is difficult to push the true meaning of martial Tao to perfection, and the highest is only 90%. Only when you reach the realm of earth opening can you move up to the next level. Sudden enlightenment. Reaching the state of perfection. I can't wait to see the day of the competition. Those academies painstakingly planned this competition, but who would have thought that in the end, they would make wedding clothes for our Changle Academy. The elder stroked his beard, his eyes bright. The purpose of the competition is to seize the quota of the lower-ranked academies and make more quotas for themselves. But now these people are afraid that they will shoot themselves in the foot. There are 7 academies in the dynasty. Changle Academy is far away from the imperial capital because of its geographical location, so it has the least resources. 313 over time. The strength gradually cannot keep up. Every time there is a similar competition between the 7 palaces, they are basically at the bottom, and naturally they will receive some more or less ironic remarks. It is impossible to say that there is no emotion in my heart. And with Luo Mu's strength, basically no one will be Luo Mu's opponent in this competition, and Luo Mu will be the first in the end. Whether the academy can vent its anger this time depends on you. Recovering his mind, the elder said. Disciple will do his best. Luo Mu smiled slightly. In addition, if you need anything recently, just ask. The academy will definitely do its best to meet it. The elder said. Do you need it? Luo Mu thought for a while. I wonder if there are any secret techniques in the academy? Of course there are secret techniques, but such techniques often have side effects. Unless the body's recovery power reaches a certain level, it will not be practiced, the elder said. In the cultivation world, the concepts of secret techniques and forbidden techniques are similar. It's just that the side effects of the latter are more obvious. Disciple has already practiced the evergreen technique, so there is no need to worry too much in this regard, Luo Mu said. What? Hearing this, the elder was stunned at first, and then a deep shock appeared in his eyes. It seems that he can't believe what he heard. I remember that there are only 2 resources left in the Divine Medicine Pavilion. According to common sense, with this amount, it is impossible to practice to perfection, or it is difficult to achieve basic accomplishment. But Luo Mu actually achieved perfection. Although the evergreen technique does not have a very strong offensive power, its preciousness lies in the terrifying recovery ability of the body. Once perfected, even if the heart or head is shattered, it can be restored instantly. And it is enough to support the practice of any extremely harmful forbidden technique. It's just that the resources for practicing this technique are too scarce. There are only 2 copies in the academy. Only the 4th palace master of that year had practiced it. It is called Heavenly Venerable. Okay. The elder did not question Luo Mu, because in his heart, Luo Mu would not lie. Since he said he had practiced it, he must have practiced it. I got another copy in the southern border and practiced it to perfection. Luo Mu explained a little. I see. The elder nodded. But it was shocking enough. With 3 resources, one could reach perfection. It was really exaggerated. Is this the weight of the world's top talent? The better the aptitude, the higher the absorption rate of resources, and even the effect of resources cannot be magnified, so as to achieve the greatest progress with the least resources. This is also the world's definition of genius. I still remember that the 4th palace master seemed to have used a full 40. It was also from that time. No one in the academy has ever succeeded, because they were all used up. If everyone wanted to be like Luo Mu, and 3 resources could be perfect, how many more immortal heavenly venerables would the academy have to produce? I will prepare for you right away. The elder was excited. This is really a pleasant surprise. It seems that his understanding of Luo Mu is still too shallow. The strength shown by this kid at present may not be all, there may be hidden, but it doesn't matter. It's better to hide more. After all, the more hidden, the stronger the strength. After chatting for a few words, the elder left. Luo Mu also returned to his own courtyard. The entrance was quite neat and clean. It seemed that after he left, the academy specially sent someone to clean it up, and they often came here, otherwise there would be no dust. Continue to comprehend. Luo Mu walked into the courtyard, sat on the stone bench, and took out the unfinished boxing secret book. There has been new progress in the understanding of boxing. I believe that I can break the bottleneck today. Start to comprehend the boxing momentum. The world of martial Tao, all methods return to the flow, and after the blade intent is perfected, it will also be of great help to the practice of boxing momentum. It won't seem difficult. Besides, there are boxing intention stones and critical hits. Once you get started, the subsequent progress will be very fast. Maybe you can comprehend the boxing momentum. No, the boxing intention before the competition starts. About an hour later. That is, when the sun was about to set, the great elder finally came. He held several jade slips in his hand. They are all forbidden techniques selected for you. Yes, forbidden technique, not a secret technique. After knowing that Luo Mu had mastered the evergreen technique, all his worries disappeared. In addition to being called Heavenly Venerable, The palace master was also called the king of forbidden techniques. Anyway, his physical body has strong recovery ability. He is not afraid of side effects at all. Forbidden techniques are precious and worth as much as heavenly rank, so they are all passed down in jade slips instead of paper. The elder said, I understand. Luo Mu nodded. Stick it between your eyebrows, and the words will appear in your mind. The elder reminded. Luo Mu did as he was told. Suddenly, 3 light golden words appeared in his mind. The blood domination technique burns 90% of the blood and qi in the body, strengthens the body's functions, and can increase the combat power of the body by about 10 times in just 10 breaths. The puppet body technique cut off a certain limb, and it can be transformed into a fake body. The duration and strength depend on the size of the limb, and it will dissipate when the time is up. The blood escape technique preserve the head and sacrifice the body below, and can travel through the void in an instant and reach thousands of miles away. After reading it, Luo Mu's eyes condensed slightly. Is this a forbidden technique? Sure enough, it is not something that ordinary people can practice. 90% of the blood and qi, the person is almost directly drained, but the effect is really good. The combat power of the body can be doubled. There are also the puppet body technique and the blood escape technique, each with its own advantages. These 3 forbidden techniques include attack, support, and life-saving. Once you master them, they are enough. Although there are other forbidden techniques in the palace, they are similar and there is no need to get involved. The elder said, Thank you, elder. Luo Mu's face showed satisfaction. As the elder said, with these 3 forbidden techniques, it is indeed enough. If you had not mastered the evergreen technique, I would never dare to give it to you. The elder stroked his white beard and took out a storage ring. It contains the resources needed to practice these 3 forbidden techniques. Luo Mu took it. He looked inside and raised his eyebrows. It is indeed a forbidden technique. Even the resources required are strange. Okay, you continue to practice. Remember to gather at the Academy Square in 4 days. Forget it, I will call you. The elder said. Okay, elder, take care. Luo Mu nodded. After the elder left, Luo Mu continued to pick up the boxing secret book. There is a sequence of things. Practice this boxing for the time being. Then consider the forbidden technique. Time passed quickly. It was 4 days later. There were already many people standing in the sect square. Looking around, they were all profound core realm cultivators. Li Jianyi, Huang Yuntian, Xie Yanbai and others of this session were among them. As for the others, they were the monsters of the academy from the previous session and even earlier. They were also waiting for the secret realm. In fact, the so-called quota seemed to be allocated to the academy. But in fact, it was given to the major families in the place where the academy was located. After all, the children of the academy were basically in the academy. I heard that you lost to an outer palace disciple. Suddenly a voice sounded. Li Jianyi looked in the direction of the voice, frowned slightly, and saw a young man who looked about 27 or 28 years old came out. He also carried a sword. He looked a bit like Li Jianyi. He was from the Anshan kingly family of the 7 Chang'an counties. He was also the first in the last ceremony. He did not choose to join the army because his family was a prince, and he was a noble king, so he naturally did not need to go. So he stayed in the family. Improve yourself. 2 years ago, he had already completed the profound core realm and has been tapping into the power of his bloodline ever since. His sword intent is now at 50%. He also inherited a perfect earth rank high-grade sword technique. You will lose if you come. Li Jian replied calmly. That's not necessarily true. Li Ji sneered. At least I won't be suppressed the whole time. Then the result is still a loss? Li Jianyi said. Any family has a distinction between the direct and the side branches. He is a side branch, while Li Ji is the direct branch. The side branches are responsible for the family's daily affairs and many industries. As for the direct branches, they only need to practice. They are the real core. Originally, if he could become the first in the ceremony this time, he would have a chance to return to the direct branch. But who made him lose? Is there any meaning in laughing at someone who has taken 50 steps? Li Jian was not afraid at all. He is now also a profound core realm 9th layer, and his sword power has also broken through to the sword intent level. But it is only a prototype. In the future, he needs to continue to tap into his bloodline in order to quickly improve the sword intent. And this is not what he wants. He wants to understand the sword intent by himself, have his own sword intent, and go his own way. But it is too difficult. After more than 2 months of comprehension, he had to give up and choose to completely inherit the sword intent of his predecessors. Only in this way can he be qualified to participate in the next mountain and see secret realm, fighting for spiritual objects. In such an approach, it will also mean that he will become a thorough bloodline martial artist in the future, influenced by the power of bloodline, and can no longer walk his own path. In the square, there is endless discussion, quite noisy. There is a desire for secret realm, and there are also concerns about the comparison test. With the strength of Chang'e Academy, it is very likely that there will be only 10 places left in the end. At that time, there will be too many monks and too little porridge. How to divide so many people present? As for Luo Mu's strength, now only the great elders and other high-level people know. At the same time, in the secluded room, Luo Mu is still practicing. He holds the fist stone in his hand. He is constantly comprehending. Jay, you concentrate and study the fist stone in depth. You have some understanding in your heart, trigger a critical strike, and gain a 100-fold gain. The prompt sounded. A lot of insights suddenly poured into Luo Mu's mind. It also made Luo Mu's fist attainments rise rapidly, until the state of 80%. Luo Mu opened his eyes and let out a long breath. The progress of the fist power is much faster than he thought. It is far beyond the original sword power. Of course, the starting points of the two are different. When he comprehended the sword power, he was just an aperture opening realm martial artist who knew nothing and crossed the river by feeling the stones. But now, blade intent is perfect, profound core realm is at the peak, plus an extremely precious fist intention stone, and the system rewards hard work. With all these increases, how could the progress be slow? If this continues, let alone before the competition, I can comprehend the fist intention, and maybe I can reach the 4th or 5th level of the fist intention. Luo Mu smiled. Then he jumped out of bed immediately. He tidied up his clothes a little. Today is the day to set off. Although the elder has not come to call him, he has to get up in advance. Chapter 77. Luo Mu, it's time to go. Soon, the voice of the elder sounded outside the house. Luo Mu picked up the spirit knife and walked out. Outside the courtyard, the elder looked at the courtyard and said, "Maybe I should give you a new place to live." "No need, I'm used to living here, and I guess I won't stay in the school for a long time in the future." Luo Mu smiled slightly. "That's right," the elder nodded. With Luo Mu's growth rate, there will naturally be a more suitable place for cultivation in the future. At this time, the square of the school palace is still noisy. When the two arrived, it suddenly became quiet. Greetings to the elder. Everyone bowed and saluted, and at the same time began to look at Luo Mu next to the elder. Is this the first place of this ceremony? The appearance is good, but most people don't take it too seriously. After all, they are the monsters of the previous session, or even earlier, and the martial Tao has a very deep foundation. At least in the short term, it is definitely not something that someone who has only been here for 2 or 3 months can compete with. You just lost to him. Li Ji stood with his hands behind his back and glanced at Li Jianyi next to him. If I happen to meet him during the competition, I will wash away the shame and take back the honor that belongs to the inner palace and the Li family. Li Jianyi frowned slightly. This Li Ji is not only arrogant, but also a little shameless. He is almost 30 years old, but he actually wants to compete with Luo Mu. Let's talk about whether he can compete. Even if he wins, it is not a fair victory. But he didn't say anything. His eyes were fixed on Luo Mu. Now more than 2 months have passed, and I don't know how much this guy's martial Tao has improved. It should be 20%, no, 30%. After all, it was already 10% at the ceremony. Boom. Deep in the academy, a huge cloud boat sailed out. It was golden and dazzling. A flying secret weapon. This is the standard configuration of a big force. If you don't have this thing for an important trip, you will lose face. Let's go. When everyone boarded the cloud boat, the elder immediately pressed the control array. Whoosh! The cloud boat suddenly broke through the air at a very fast speed and disappeared on the spot. This trip is to Anye County. With the teleportation array, it won't take much time to get to the imperial capital. The 7 major palaces of the dynasty. Ranked by strength, they are Black and White Palace, Liang Palace, Jixia Palace, Bailey Palace, Wuyan Palace, Tiandu Palace, and Chang'e Palace. Black and White Palace is located in the imperial capital. It covers 10 counties around it. To the east is Liang. To the west is Jixia. To the north is Bailey. To the south is Wuyan. To the east of Liang is Tiandu. To the south of Wuyan is Chang'e. This is roughly the distribution, and there will definitely be some deviations. As the place where the Great Zhou Divine Sovereign was established, the imperial capital is naturally extremely prosperous. Although Xindian is not everywhere, it is at least common. Because there are countless powerful families living here. Princes and nobles. Like stars surrounding the moon, they protect the imperial capital, Lingluo Palace. The palace given to the 9th prince by the current emperor. Looking around, there are countless pavilions and towers. Teams of servants and attendants walk slowly under the eaves of the corridor bridge, lowering their eyebrows and observing etiquette. At this time, in a palace somewhere, the atmosphere was quite solemn and dignified. The 9th prince bowed and stood. Not far away, there was a beautiful woman in palace dress. She had a slender figure, skin as white as cream, and was full of mature charm. The 9th prince looked a bit like her, especially his eyes and his charm. The beautiful woman in palace dress sat upright. Anger appeared on her snow-white face, and her full chest was rising and falling. You actually gave a marquise to a commoner without discussing it with me. Even if the person you were talking about has great potential, he is just a commoner. There is no certainty how far he can go in the future. Maybe he will suddenly fall one day. In this world, the most abundant thing is genius, and only natural blood can provide a certain guarantee. The voices were in a series, but there was no fluctuation on the 9th prince's face. Mother, please believe me once. Luo Mu will grow up. I don't believe it. Since you just made a verbal promise, I'll let it go. During this period, I have commissioned Heavenly Secrets Pavilion to find a young martial artist with ancient blood. I have sent someone to contact him. The title of Marquis will be left to him. The beautiful woman in palace dress said in a cold tone. Before I left, you said that the 3 marquisites would be decided by your son, but later you took away 2 directly, and now you are even going to deprive the last one. Isn't this too much? The 9th prince raised his head slightly. There was a coldness in his watery eyes. Touching this look, the beautiful woman in palace dress was startled, as if she didn't expect that one day she would see such emotions in her son's eyes. The soft hand under her sleeves tightened slightly. You. 10 asterisk. The beautiful woman in palace dress was a little angry. She obviously did everything for this son, but now her son is going to disobey her. You should know that in this world, blood martial artist is the backbone. Some civilians have extraordinary potential, but how many of them can grow to the end? Many died inexplicably in the middle of the journey. The beautiful woman in palace dress continued. I believe Luo Mu will not die so soon. The 9th prince replied. The beautiful lady in palace dress pointed at the 9th prince with a feeling of disappointment, but she just remembered her debt to the person in front of her and finally let it go. She flicked her sleeves and left. Whatever you want. The hall suddenly became empty. The 9th prince exhaled lightly. He sat down on the chair where the beautiful lady in palace dress had sat, and a rare look of fatigue and tenderness appeared on his face. It was the first time for him to contradict his mother. This feeling was quite wonderful. I want to have my own strength. The 9th prince took a deep breath. If he follows the path arranged by his mother, even if he can achieve great things in the future, he will still be his mother's puppet. Besides, what about blood? At most, his mother just wants to hold him tightly in her hand. So he had to insist just now. Your Highness, there is a report from the front line. Suddenly, a eunuch ran in excitedly. The 9th prince was immediately alert and took the jade slip from the eunuch. Then he quickly put it on his forehead. Many words appeared in his mind. Ha ha ha. After a moment of silence, joyful laughter suddenly echoed in the hall. I knew it. I won't make a mistake. The 9th prince was delighted. Profound Core Realm 9th Layer Peak. 100% Blade Intent. Kill 3 people in the Earthbreaking Realm in a row. In just 2 months, Luo Mu has grown to this level. Looking at the history of Great Zhou Divine Sovereign, no one can be in the Profound Core Realm 9th Layer. Realm has the perfect true meaning. No one. The best in the world should be like this. The 9th prince was a little excited. He didn't think much of the bloodline martial artist. These people were immersed in the power of blood and lost themselves. Although they could reach a higher level in the future, but they could never surpass their ancestors and become the real top-level artists. And civilian geniuses like Luo Mu have unlimited possibilities. We must hurry up and ask for Luo Mu's honor. As if thinking of something, the 9th prince calmed down and turned around and left the palace. You can read more daily new novels on fictionzone.net. Both sites share the same login details, so you don't need to sign up again. Chapter 78. Yunzhou in the room. Luo Mu sat cross-legged, with a secret book in front of him and a crystal stone tightly grasped in his right hand. Oh Jay, you concentrate on studying the fifth stone, and you have some enlightenment in your heart. A flash of inspiration triggers 100 times critical strike. The moment the prompt sounded, a huge amount of insights suddenly emerged in his mind. After absorbing all of them, Luo Mu's body shook violently, and a terrifying pressure gradually emerged, filled the entire room. If the room was not covered by a formation, it would definitely spread out. After a moment, like a whale sucking water, all the pressure returned to Luo Mu's body. Luo Mu slowly opened his eyes. There seemed to be countless fist lights flashing in his eyes, covering the mountains and rivers. Not bad. There was 100 times critical strike with a flash of inspiration. Luo Mu's mouth corners raised. If not, he may need another day or two to comprehend the meaning of the fist. For 9-7-inch, not bad. After the critical strike just now, Lu Wu successfully raised his fist to the level of fist meaning. Now he is already a martial artist with 2 levels of true meaning. Profound Core Realm has 2 levels of true meaning. No one will believe it if you tell it to others. After the true meaning is 100%, it can be integrated with each other, greatly increasing the power of one of the true meanings, about 1 time, and up to 4 true meanings can be integrated. Luo Mu's eyes moved slightly. It's just that this statement exists in fantasy, because no one can do it in reality. 1 is so difficult, let alone 4. Luo Mu, we are here. The voice of the Great Elder sounded outside the house. At this time, it was already 5 days later. After many void transmissions, I finally arrived. The imperial capital. Luo Mu walked out of the room and looked around. He saw an extremely magnificent city in the distance, stretching for countless miles, with no end in sight. It was far from the cities he had seen in the past. The momentum was even more majestic and magnificent. Many magical visions appeared in the sky, colorful and magnificent. It was so mysterious and shocking. Is this the imperial capital? Everyone on the Yunzhou felt a chill. Even Li Jiani and Li Ji, the sons of noble kings, were moved. It was too big. A city is probably equivalent to a county, and the visions in the sky were formed because there were too many strong people in it, and various auras gathered together. It is worthy of being the imperial capital, the core of the dynasty, someone murmured. After entering the city, don't cause trouble, and don't be afraid of trouble, the Great Elder reminded. Although Changle Academy ranked at the bottom, it didn't have to give in on everything. There had to be a basic bottom line. Yes, everyone nodded, and they were slightly shocked. The imperial capital was too complicated. Perhaps everyone they met had an unimaginable background, a royal family, a family of civil officials. Although he was also born a royal family, he was still in the local area. It couldn't be compared with the imperial capital. Besides, for the nobles, a noble without blood was no different from a commoner. The imperial capital's city wall was about 100 feet long, as tall as a mountain. The city gate was even more golden, like the legendary Gate of Heaven, shocking people. In front of the city gate, the Great Elder took away the cloud boat. This was the rule of the imperial capital, and flying in the air was not allowed, unless there was permission. After a careful inspection, the garrison general let him go. During this period, the mountain and sea secret realm was about to open, and many academies began to arrive. The exact destination of this trip was the Black and White Academy. As the Great Zhou Divine Sovereign's first academy, the Black and White Academy is located in the imperial capital and enjoys the greatest amount of resources. Each academy has the distinction between inner and outer palaces. The outer palace is for common people. The inner palace is for the descendants of the royal family. Even in the lower-ranking academies, such as Changle Academy, the outer palace disciples are not as good as the inner palace. Not to mention the Black and White Academy. Most of the people here are nobles, born with strong blood. The outer palace disciples are ordinary people and have no qualifications to compete. The elder did not take everyone to the Black and White Academy immediately, but wandered around the imperial capital. After all, it is not easy to come to the imperial capital. Lianbao Tower. Luo Mu saw a high-rise building with a unique style on the side of the wide street. The plaque of the building, which looked like a copper hammer, had these 3 words written on it. I still remember the spiritual knife in my hand. It was forged by Lianbao Tower. It stands to reason that ordinary high-quality spiritual knives cannot withstand the power of evil spirits. But the product of Lianbao Tower, it can actually hold up. So far, only a slight crack has appeared. It's harmless. Retracting his gaze, Luo Mu decided to come to the refining treasure building again in a while to improve the quality of the spiritual sword in his hand. No, the spiritual sword is no longer a spiritual sword. The material has long been infected and devoured by the evil spirit. It can't be improved. It can only be said to change a better knife blank. After wandering around for half a day, everyone also saw the prosperity and power of the imperial capital. Some of the apex-level forces that we know can basically be seen in the imperial capital. There are also many profound core realm people walking on the road. It's just that the profound core realm strongmen who used to look down on the top. At this moment, they all restrained their breath, dared not to collide recklessly, abided by their duties, and were cautious. From ancient times to the present, many profound core realm died in the Meridian Gate. Those were all bloody lessons. Luo Mu's eyes condensed slightly. He saw a branch of a force with a very large area, far exceeding other forces around. The atmosphere is magnificent. It seems to be thriving. I remember that the Wuming was established 100 years ago. It was also because of the emergence of the Wuming that the sects in the dynasty were able to rise rapidly, and even the mountain and sea secret realm were qualified to enter and share a piece of the pie. In the past, if you still want to enter, you are not qualified to eat fart. Is the structure of this Wuming overstepping the boundaries? I don't think other forces are so large, Huang Yuntian said. The structure refers to the building range, height, etc. It should be. Not far away is the city guard mansion. The structure of this Wuming is almost catching up with the city guard mansion. It's so overstepping the boundaries, and no one cares. Born in a royal family, his heart is naturally on the side of the dynasty. No one answered. In the end, he had to give up. After a while, he finally arrived at the destination. Black and White Academy. As far as the eye can see, the palaces are continuous and the pavilions are high, showing the magnificent atmosphere of the great sect. And the academy is as its name suggests. There are only two colors, black and white. After watching for a long time, 4.2 these colors will even gradually distort and turn into mysterious yin and yang fish, containing mysterious truths that are difficult to understand. The Black and White Academy was built at the foot of the imperial capital. Every brick and stone in this academy is extraordinary. The elder stroked his white beard and said faintly, in comparison, there was a gap between my own academy. But there was no way. Who made my own academy so far away from the imperial capital? Go in. After a simple inspection, the group entered the Black and White Academy. The pavilions and eaves, rockery pools, green forests, and lush bamboos, the environment can be said to be extremely classical and elegant. The 7 Palaces competition will be held in 5 days. During this time, take a good rest and adjust. The elder took everyone to a slightly remote place. There are many palaces here, and it is a bit deserted. Obviously, few people come here at ordinary times. For everyone, it's better to be deserted, otherwise you will encounter some unnecessary troubles. Chapter 79. As evening approached, an uninvited guest arrived. Zimu. I hadn't seen him yet, but I had heard his voice. Luo Mu pushed open the door, and it turned out to be the 9th prince whom he hadn't seen for several months. His face was still incredibly beautiful. It gave people a strong sense of separation. How could there be a man who was so handsome? At least he was the most beautiful one among the people Luo Mu had seen so far. Even Changqing Man was slightly inferior to him. I didn't expect that in just 2 months, Zimu, you have grown to this level. You can slash the ground with Xiandan and have 100% blade intent. It's really hard to imagine. When the 9th prince entered the room, his beautiful face was full of excitement and joy. There was no dignity of being a member of the sovereign clan at all. Or rather, this is only the case with Luo Mu. Excited, he even grabbed Luo Mu's hand. Luo Mu was speechless. This 9th prince is good in everything, but he likes to shake people's hands at any time. It's okay to shake hands symbolically. At the moment, there is no intention of letting go at all. When I heard the news, I was so happy. This proves that I was right in my judgment that day. 09 The 9th prince pulled Luo Mu to sit down, showing his friendliness and closeness. I have reported the news to the military and political department and the Tianlijian. I believe that in a few days, the imperial edict about conferred marquis will come down. The 9th prince did not hide anything and came straight to the point, directly talking about what Luo Mu was most interested in. Conferred marquis? Luo Mu nodded slightly. The benefits of conferred marquis are self-evident. It is not just the improvement of status, but also many benefits, which will be reflected in various aspects in the past. This time, the Black and White Academy has put a lot of thought into the competition. The original quota was divided equally, and it must be changed to a competition. The 9th prince said coldly, The ultimate goal is just to get more quotas for yourself. With the strength of the disciples of the Black and White Academy, it can indeed be done. But it's a pity that no matter how much they think, they will never think that Chang'e Academy, which has always been ranked at the bottom, will have a peerless leader like Zimu, 100% blade intent. This is an absolute crushing of strength. According to his understanding, even the current number 1 Xian'an of the Black and White Academy is only 90%. This time, it can be regarded as shooting oneself in the foot. I really look forward to the expressions of these academies at that time. Will their eyes pop out? The voice of the 9th prince was full of joy. In the Great Zhou Divine Sovereign dynasty, there are 7 major academies. Now it can be said that each academy has its own supporters, and Chang'e Academy is his supporter. The interests between each other are naturally common, not to mention those cumbersome rules. As long as Luo Mu gets the first place, Chang'e Academy will have a minimum of 60 places. To a certain extent, these places are extremely precious. Even if not all are used, the extra part can be exchanged for unimaginable huge benefits. Luo Mu smiled. No more words. For him, entering the secret realm as soon as possible is the top priority. As for the competition, it is just a small episode. Supposedly, the competition between the academies should be between the academies and the school officials. But considering the apparent strength gap, it is too unfair for some academies. In the end, they can only be mixed together and draw lots to fight. In this way, there is a component of luck. Luo Mu is a relatively dull character. Maybe the atmosphere will quiet down after chatting for a few topics. Fortunately, the 9th prince is quite good at chatting. The voices kept on. Sometimes he asked Luo Mu about his usual practice, sometimes he introduced Luo Mu to the information of other academy disciples, or interesting things he saw and heard in the imperial capital. In this way, until an hour later, when the sky gradually darkened, the 9th prince sighed reluctantly. It's almost time. I won't disturb Zimu's practice. See you on the day of the competition. Your Highness, take care. Luo Mu nodded. On ordinary days, he simply didn't have the patience to listen to someone talking about so many trivial and insignificant things. Practice is important, but today is a little strange. He didn't feel bored at all. He even listened more seriously. Maybe the 9th prince is more interesting. The beautiful face appeared in his mind, Luo Mu thought. Then he closed the door. He returned to the bed, sat cross-legged, took out the fist stone, and began to practice. At the same time, there was the Earth-rank high-grade Destruction God Fist. Unlike the sword school that uses weapons, the fist practice must first have an extremely strong body, and he naturally meets this requirement. Therefore, the progress of practicing Destruction God Fist is very fast. Already basic accomplishment, infinitely close to great accomplishment. Leave Luo Mu's room. The 9th prince's originally indifferent face gradually showed a strong majesty. It was intimidating. The 2 eunuchs immediately followed and followed closely. After a while, when walking on a covered bridge, the 9th prince stopped and saw several figures coming from the opposite side. The leader. He was also wearing a python robe. His eyes were more golden than the 9th prince's. He was tall and had a natural aura. Hey, isn't this my 9th brother? Why are you here at the academy? The figure spoke with a teasing voice. Tisk, I forgot that Chang'e Academy is now your supporter. Meet the first prince. The 9th prince bowed slightly. The first prince. It can be said that he is the most powerful among many competitors. His maternal family is an ancient family that is not inferior to the sovereign clan. There are also many princes and nobles in the court who support him. Even the Black and White Academy is a supporter of the first prince. I underestimated you in the past. You can actually persuade Chang'e Academy. The first prince took a few steps closer and his eyes stayed on the 9th prince's face. Although Chang'e Academy ranks at the bottom, but it is at the academy level after all. Its strength is naturally very strong. It's just that Chang'e Academy has always been neutral and has not participated in any fights, so over time, everyone gave up. I didn't expect this time. Chang'e Academy participated. But you don't think that the mere Chang'e Academy can give you hope of competition, right? Even if your mother belongs to the Longxia Wang family, it is not qualified at all. So as a big brother, I really want to advise you not to participate in the vortex of seizing the throne. The eldest prince took a step closer, his voice faint. Is that so? But why do I feel that big brother is starting to pay attention to me? The 9th prince did not mean to be discouraged at all. On the contrary, the corners of his mouth rose slightly. If he did not pose any threat, how could the eldest prince say so much? In other words, he felt the danger. Pay attention? You really think highly of yourself? The eldest prince narrowed his eyes slightly, and there was a flicker of displeasure in his golden pupils. Indeed, he was hit on the point. The wind rises from the tip of the green duckweed, and the waves form between the ripples. The teacher said, "Don't underestimate any opponent. Maybe with a turn, the opponent has already soared to 90,000 miles. Danger must be nipped in the bud. Look at this competition. It will highlight the gap between the academies. Chang'e can't help you." After saying that, the eldest prince and his men passed by. Then wait and see. The ninth prince chuckled. If it were before, he really didn't have confidence. But now, everything is different. You can read more daily new novels on fictionzone.net. Both sites share the same login details, so you don't need to sign up again. Chapter 80. Soon, it was 5 days later. During this period, the monsters in Chang'e Academy naturally went to inquire about the news. But the more they inquired, the heavier their mood became. Because the monsters in other academies were too strong. The most powerful one on their side was Li Ji, who had 50% sword intent, which was already a very high level of true meaning. But it was said that the first Xiandan in the Black and White Academy had 90%. At this stage, he had developed the power of blood to the extreme. The strength was outrageous. In addition, there were also people with very high attainments in other academies. 60%, 70%, 80%, etc. There were even quite a few. How can this be compared? Everyone's eyes showed deep worry, and the confidence they had always had as monsters was gone at this moment. Even Li Ji. There was nothing to say now. He could only quietly wipe his sword not far away. In the room, OT. You concentrate and comprehend the fist intent stone deeply. A flash of inspiration occurs, triggering a critical strike, and gain 300 times the reward. The prompt sounded. A huge amount of insights suddenly emerged in his mind. Boom. The body suddenly shook, and a terrifying pressure emerged, which filled the room. Luo Mu slowly opened his eyes. The corners of his mouth rose. During this period, his luck was really good. He actually had nearly 3 flashes of inspiration. Combined with the one just now, it directly led to the final improvement of fist intent, which far exceeded his expectations. It actually reached 70%. Crack. The fist intent stone in his hand lost its light. It turned into powder and slipped through his fingers. The completeness of this intention stone is not as good as the previous blade intent stone, so it dissipates much faster. What a pity. Luo Mu's eyes showed regret. I originally wanted to rely on this intention stone to improve the fist intent to perfection. Now it seems that it is not possible. I have to find another one, or find another way. I almost forgot. Luo Mu slapped his head. Today is the 7 Palaces competition, and watching the battles by myself can also be rewarding. Although there are not as many matches as in the previous Academy ceremony, there are all outstanding people present, and there are many people with true meaning. The quality of one match is far beyond that of the ceremony, and it will definitely help to improve the boxing intention. Thinking of this, Luo Mu smiled. Originally, for him, this 7 Palaces competition would probably be boring, but now he finally has a fundamental interest. Jumped off the bed, Luo Mu looked at the bronze mirror and tidied himself a little. In the bronze mirror, an 18-year-old boy with a handsome face and sharp eyebrows, full of vigor, and he is far more calm than his peers, especially the pair of dark eyes, as deep as the night sky. Luo Mu turned around and went out with a knife. On the empty flat ground, the disciples arrived one after another, and the atmosphere seemed a bit dull. The blow they had suffered in the past few days was really too great. Few people spoke. Unlike them, the elder was calm and composed, without a trace of worry on his face. He even held a cup of tea in his hand and took a sip from time to time. This surprised many disciples. At this time, isn't the elder worried? Even in the mood to drink tea. Soon, everyone was there, including Luo Mu. Seeing Luo Mu coming, the elder nodded slightly, then put down the teacup and said loudly, "Let's go." The location of the competition. Located in the inner palace of the Black and White Academy. This is an extremely huge square, divided into 6 areas, which can accommodate 6 groups of disciples at the same time. The surroundings are densely packed with audience seats, which can accommodate nearly 1 million people. Above the square, there are also many inverted mountains. Each one represents an apex-level force. 7 Palaces competition. It is rare to see 100 years, and it involves many interests, so it is almost full. Each force has sent representatives. This time, the genius you value should also be on the stage. On an inverted mountain, A beautiful woman in palace dress slowly sat down and spoke. She is the mother of the 9th prince. More than 20 years ago, the current emperor took in a concubine in order to win over the Longxiaowang family. Her name is concubine Xia. Yes, the 9th prince sat aside. In the past few days, his mother had come to him many times, but finally gave up because of his insistence. Agreed to give the title of Marquis to Luo Mu. After all, the relationship between mother and son cannot be too strained. I hope he can perform a little better in this competition, at least not lose in the first game. Otherwise, I will still consider giving the title of Marquis to someone else. Xia Fei took the tea beside her and took a sip. She didn't have much expectation for the demon among the common people, because of some previous experiences. Besides, the 7 Palaces competition came too quickly, and the boy probably didn't grow much. How can he deal with the current situation? You have to know that this is a competition that brings together all the apex-level demons in the 7 Palaces, and each of them is the best in the profound core realm. Even the pinnacle of the bloodline martial artist. A common demon may shine in a place like Chang'e, but here, it is destined to be dim and become a stepping stone for the bloodline martial artist. From then on, he sank into the abyss and never recovered. She hoped that the genius could perform worse, so that her son could also face the reality. Thinking of this, Xia Fei's mood suddenly became better. She even leaned back slightly, and a little smile appeared on her beautiful face. Don't worry, mother. He will make it to the end. The 9th prince sat upright. The breeze blew gently, blowing his long eyelashes. His watery eyes were full of expectation. Hearing this, concubine Xia shook her head. Go to the end? What a foolish dream. Swish, swish, swish. A stream of light flew over and landed on the rest of the inverted mountains. The bigwigs of the imperial capital also began to officially appear. Look, that's the eldest prince, the 2nd prince, the 3rd prince. Lilies, in the audience seats around, exclamations continued to ring out. After all, this is the real sovereign clan, and one of them may even become the future human of the Great Zhou Divine Sovereign dynasty. Sovereign, although His Majesty has many children, but there are only 6 who have the potential to be the heir. No, now there are 7. With the addition of Chang'e Academy, the 9th prince now has the opportunity to be the heir, but this chance is very slim. Because Chang'e Academy, whether it is the top combat power or the younger generation of monsters, seems to have no outstanding people. Below, the disciples of the 7 major academies, led by their elders, gradually came to the center of the square. This scene, Huang Yuntian folded his arms and marveled. It is much more spectacular than his own ceremony. There are nearly 1 million people in the audience seats around. It is indeed a shocking number. The most important thing is that the strength of these audiences is enough to be called a master if you pick any one of them. Outside.
Thanks for watching. You can find the next videos in the playlist linked in the info card, directly on my channel, or right here on the screen. And as always, if you have any feedback, feel free to share it in the comments too.